Greetings, comrades. Welcome to All Power to the People podcast on Grown Folks Talking, Express Yourself Internet Radio via the Huddle Team app. We meet every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We discuss local, national, and global events that impact the material conditions of the people and provide viable solutions. We are here to find those tired of the way their lives are socially constructed. As Panthers, we use dialectic materialism. As Dr. Huey P. Newton stated, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. From combating the housing crisis to police patrols, we are the vanguard in place to serve our communities. The purpose of this program is to highlight contradictions in the electoral process, which Western culture calls politics. Politics is the struggle for resources. Participating in America's electoral process has only taken resources from the people and handed it to the oligarchs and the professional managerial class that serve them by maintaining the status quo through coercion. We know that power lies with the people, and it is our duty to organize and educate the community so that they can fight for their own liberation. So please, join us every Sunday at 12 p.m. You can join by downloading the Huddle Team app, join online, or call in. The app and joining online is free, but if you call in, standard messaging rates may apply.
Don't do that.
Links to the show will be provided in the caption. This is General Secretary Patience of the new African Black Panther Party, NABPP North. All power to the people.
I'll be having conversation with people, and they'll be like, so what do we do? What is our option? How do we change our material condition? How do we change the reality around us? And, I mean, you can't do that. This is from our food program. I mean, so that's why I'm starting off like this to show everybody like the things that you could do in the community. As Panthers, we come together in North to get this food to go out and give to the families that are starving. We all know, if we live in these communities, we know how hard times are. We are all going through it. We eat the same food too. We take the food in our home and we put them in our bellies. This is our during the school year, all year round. We don't have enough money to go build a school to be able to bring in all these children and stuff. We don't have all of that, but we can create an after-school program. And this is one of the ways we bring the kids in with the after-school program so they could come in for us to give them that knowledge, to teach them, and try to help guide them through this reality, through this world. You say they teach you about 9/11 in school?
Yeah.
What did they teach you about 9/11? Why did the plane hit the buildings? You got to say it loud enough so I can hear you.
The Muslim airjacked the plane and then they crashed themselves shit into the Twin Towers.
That's what they taught you, that the Muslims hijacked the plane?
They talk about it.
That's okay. That's okay. Relax. But why did they crash into the Twin Towers? They didn't. Anybody? Hey, what you were saying, Major? Hold up, Major, speak. What'd you say, Major?
Other plane and it was more hijackers on the other plane and they crashed into that.
But why did they crash into the Twin Towers? So they crashed into the Twin Towers to go to New York. They died to go to New York.
They wanted to go. Hijackers wanted to go.
But
they crashed into the Twin Towers.
Oh, they wanted to go land in New York, but they crashed into the Twin Towers. So anybody else got something to add? Archie, you got something to add? What you want to add?
Other planes, airjacked and then they crashed into different places.
That's it? Yeah. So nobody can tell me why the planes crashed? Why the planes did that? Nobody can tell me? But don't you think the school should tell you why?
Yeah.
So, like, if the school not telling you why, what does that mean?
They keep it secret.
Wow.
Gatekeeping.
Whoa, where you get gatekeeping from, bro?
I say gates.
But where you learn that at? You say me? you burnt out, yo. You burnt out. Nah, but the reason why they crashed into the Twin Towers is because the American government, America was going to their country, taking their natural resources, stealing their stuff, killing their people. So they got mad. They stole a plane and they came and crashed it on the World Trade Center to get back at America. That's why they did it.
So it wasn't two planes?
No, it wasn't one plane. I think it was 2 or 3. Was it? I think it was one. No, I think there was one in D.C. and there was one in Philly or something like that. That they. Yeah. Huh?
And I basically got it right there.
There was the Twin Towers, and then another one tried to crash into the place that Trump lives in.
The Trump Tower?
I see that. So
There ain't no plane trying to go to the Trump Tower.
White House.
Did the plane try to go to the White House?
The Pentagon. I think that's
The plane, one went to the Pentagon. But these people be lying. The media be lying. The politicians be lying. So you never know what's true. But why they really did it, they said because America was going over to their countries and they were killing their people. They were taking their resources and they were putting military bases in their country. So that's why they did it. I mean, that's why they went over there and did it and stuff. They call that blowback. Like when you go to another country and you do stuff to them, and then they come back over here and do something, like they call that blowback.
it's like give back.
Yeah, it's like give back.
So imagine another country.
You said they should have did more? Then we gonna die. If they knew, because we gonna die. I don't want to die.
What if we wasn't alive at that time?
But we gonna continue this later, y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all. We gonna continue later.
This is our summer basketball camp. It's going on right now. Every day from 9 to 1. We have this basketball camp that that the kids come out. Yo, it's all about organizing and finding ways to bring people out, bring the children out to be able to organize them. I mean, when you doing these things to bring the children in, to bring the community in, yo, you got to be serious. You can't be playing around with this. Yo, like when the kids come here, at the end of the summer, they're stronger, they're faster, they're quicker, and they know more about the game, about the sport than they did before. You know, we watch their minds develop every day. While we're talking about Pantherism, what do we do? What are the solutions? Yo, there's solutions here. I mean, the solutions is organizing our own community, creating an economic base where we can be able to feed ourselves, take care of ourselves without having to bow down to somebody else, without having to beg somebody else for our humanity. Yo, I refuse to go beg anybody to give me humanity. I would take my humanity by force. I understand I am not free. We understand we are not free as Panthers. There's no doubt in our mind if we are free or not. And you cannot hold anybody that's under oppression, that's under neocolonialism, responsible for how their life turned out, because they control no institution. I mean, I often hear people say, like, the drug dealers, the worst thing in our community is drug dealers, because they're stupid. They're ignorant. They haven't educated themselves to understand the world around them. So they just open their mouth and regurgitate whatever they heard somebody else say. You're a fool if you believe anything out here is your fault or our fault. Seriously. And I'm telling you, I work with the community all day and all night. And I know how ignorant the community can be. But I don't blame the people for the conditions they find themselves in. They have nothing to do with how anything is done materially in this world. They're just bystanders. The people that I hold accountable is those that know, the intellectuals. That's supposed to know better, but continue to usher our people into institutions of white supremacy, of imperialism, that will continue to exploit us. Tell our people to go vote. What are you voting for? I mean, who are you voting for? Who do they serve? They don't serve the people. They won't serve the people, or they won't survive in those institutions.
Myself. Which is us? Get some from. Get some. Let me see. Hold it out, Bobby. Mira. Hold it out. Let me see. Yeah. Hold up. You got it? You like it? There we go. You're welcome. What's your name? What position you play? Oh, picture. You're the picture. You're a picture. Your children out here?
I'm just watching.
Oh, you just watching? You just watching too? My name Afrikan. Afrikan. Yeah, the continent. Continent. Yeah, continent. Hold up. Huh? Yeah. I'll come every year. I'll bring more stuff. I'll come. I'll bring everything every year. Yeah, we just start. Hey, what's up, Green? How you doing?
Not bad. How are you, Chairman?
Outstanding. Welcome to All Power to the People podcast on Grown Folks Talk and Express Yourself. I'm your host, Chairman Africa. Yo, this is a space for organizers. Yo, I'm gonna say that again. This is a space for organizers or those interested in changing the conditions in their community. That we meet up here and we have conversations and we try to see how we solve the issues in our community, like the real stuff going on outside. The first duty of a revolutionary is to be educated. You have to go back and study. You have to see what happened before for you to learn, for it to go forward. We've been reading The Philadelphia Negro. The Philadelphia Negro is a book written by W.E.B. Du Bois in 1896, and it explains the condition of black folks during that time. The reason why we go back and we read these accounts and read what luminaries like Du Bois said, it's to juxtapose it with what's going on today. Did their strategies that they used back then, did they work? How did things really change? I mean, by studying what they wrote and how they saw things, it helps us out. It helps us in our decision making. Like right now, I think this is chapter 12, right? This is chapter 12, and they're talking about the church as an institution. I mean, and I don't know what's his call it is here, but he called me this morning. I hope it's here. Jay from Trenton. Jay, you here, Jay? I don't know if you could get on. But I think
I'm here.
Oh, okay, look, I can even hear you. That's you, Jahari Green?
Yep.
Oh, all power to the people. Yeah, but he was talking to me.
All power to the people.
Yeah, he was talking to me about what he did this morning. You know what? We're gonna start the show off with that. Hey, tell me what y'all did. Give the people here a little synopsis of what you were trying to do earlier. What we talked about.
Yeah, so we just went out to one of the Haitian churches in the area because, I'm sure you all are well aware, they tried rescinding the TPS protections from them earlier this month. And while it did get blocked, they still are unfortunately a target. And ICE has been active heavily in the Trenton, Hamilton, just general Mercer County area of the state. So, we went out today just to meet with them. We handed out some informational flyers and what have you, some resources that they could use so people could defend themselves and know their rights. And we were just discussing pulling security for them, just general outreach with them if they needed things like help with food drives, clothing drives, toy drives, etc. And the one setback we did have is our group right now is small. We're still in the process of building it up, at least where we are in the Trenton area. So that was one of the concerns they had, if there's 2 or 3 people kind of posted in one area, how is that really going to deter, say, 5 to 10 ICE agents, So it's one of those things where they like the idea, they like what we're trying to do. It's just we got to build up, as the chairman said before, building up the community, organizing, and just getting a lot more people on board to where we're able to effectively defend the communities that need it the most.
All power to the people. But what I told you, Jay, when you said Joe is small, what did I say to you?
That, we got you all up in Newark. We got the Lions down in Philly. It's an intercommunal, absolutely intercommunal organization,
You're not small, baby. You're not small. Stop thinking that. Now, you're trying to find soldiers right now that are really down, that you could trust. Yo, I don't care if it's only 3 of you for the next 4, 5, 6 years. As long as you could trust those people around you, those lions, those panthers, whatever, you could trust them, you ahead of the game, baby. And when we strategize and you say you having an action and you put out the call, we all pulling up. You're not alone. That's the point of intercommunalism. Because like we sit here, everybody, like, it's going to be shows today, shows tomorrow. People going to be talking about what should be done, what this person should do, what that person should do. I'm talking to the young brother right here, the young comrade right here.
They left. They got boots on the ground, and they went to see how they could provide security for Haitian people. It'll tell them, you white, right?
No, I'm black.
You white, right? Yo, you white. They went to a Haitian church and asked them how they can provide security. But why did they go to the church? Like, you men, I don't even know if they understood why they went to the church or if they understand it from the perspective that I have. But the church is the first real institution that black people really started and bonded with. That was part of the black life. So even if you're Haitian, you're coming from Africa, you're coming from wherever, the church is a big institution. So if you want to get to the people, the best place to usually go is the church, because the church is supposed to be connected and it has all this history and it's rooted in the community. And you see up there, what's his name? Drewski. Drewski did a skit about the church recently.
The mega church. Yeah,
he did it, but it's a reason why. So after all these years, remember, this book that we're about to go into was written in 1896. We're in 2026, and Drewski is doing a video mocking the church, mocking the preachers, how they profess to do this, to do that, but they're really working for themselves. They're really trying to get rich themselves. So all of that, it all ties in together. This was what the General Secretary put out today. Let me play it. This is directly from what we're about to read today.
Negro preachers are often condemned for poor leadership and empty sermons, and it is said that men with so much power and influence could make striking moral reforms. This is but partially true. The congregation does not follow the moral precepts of the preacher, but rather the preacher follows the standard of his flock.
You heard that? The preacher follows the standard of the flock. They follow. So, like, we are all socialized. I don't care who you think you are, where you are, what race, whatever. We are all socialized by a system that's above us that we can't control. When you don't control the books and what you learn in school, you don't control what you get from the media. You don't control anything. You're just a bystander in what's going on in society. Right now, before you take over the controls and you start molding yourself, you are just a bystander, and we are all socialized to know what we know. And by and large, most of it in our community comes from the church. It comes from the church because the church is there, it's in place to basically co-sign or justify what is going on in society. Give to gifts, whatever what they call it in the Bible, give to who? Pontius Pilate. Anyway, like to give him his coins or his money or something like that. But be that as it may, I'm about to play this. I'm about to play the Philadelphia Negro. I'm not going to stop it. I want everybody to pay attention to though, because what he's talking about is very important.
The Philadelphia Negro, Chapter 12, Section 32. The function of the Negro Church. The Negro Church is the peculiar and characteristic product of the transplanted African. It deserves a special study. As a social group, the Negro Church may be said to have antedated the Negro family on American soil. As such, it has preserved, on the one hand, many functions of tribal organization, and on the other hand, many of the family functions. Its tribal functions are shown in its religious activity, its social authority and general guiding and coordinating work. Its family functions are shown by the fact that the church is a center of social life and intercourse, acts as newspaper and intelligence bureau. It's the center of amusements. Indeed, it's the world in which the Negro moves and acts. So far-reaching are these functions of the church that its organization is almost political. In Bethel Church, for instance,
its organization is political. Remember, politics is the struggle for resources. Somebody say so? All power to the people. You got to mute yourself if you're not talking right now. My boy moved out like they wild. Moved out working 24/7. I mean, but like I said, politics is the struggle for resources. If you are an institution that's basically telling people to wait till they die for them to get their just dues, for them to pray. You're not teaching them about the material condition that exists, but you're basically, like I said, co-signing those that are in power, and you're by and large there to maintain the status quo. You are practicing in politics. You are deciding who holds on to the means of production. You're helping in that effort. So the church is political, even though they're supposed to be tax exempt because they're not supposed to be a political organization. But they're really used to control how the people think. And that's what the voice is telling you here. Even as early, what up? You wanted to say something, Megabyte? Yo, how you doing, Megabyte, man? Yo, I've been meaning to hit you up during the week, my guy. You heard me?
Hey, all power to the people, Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'm doing all right. I've been getting up to some shenanigans lately, but getting back to some business here. On the topic of the church, I want to point out we have to look at not only the churches that exist today, that existed in the last 100, 150 years in our country, but look at the whole history of the church. You guys may be aware of the sale of indulgences, which was more of a Catholic thing. But the Catholic Church went hand in hand with the governance of Europe throughout European history, and they had a program called the Sale of Indulgences, where you could literally buy a document from the church that said you were forgiven for your crimes, and then that was that. Right, so these are the institutions. Maybe the rules have changed a little bit and it's a little less blatant today now that we have documentation of the internet. They've changed the system to be more subtle and get away with it, but it's the same system of control that it always has been.
No, but it's like, it really hasn't changed. That's why I started this off by showing the comedian Drewski actually mocking the church, actually saying everything that you're basically saying. I mean, but you sent me a text about the what you call it, who you sent me the text about? Jeremy Baker. Yeah, you sent me the text. Hey, Jeremy, you here?
I am here, Jeremy. How you doing?
Hey, look, you got fans all over the place. That's a comrade Baker. That's a comrade Megabyte. I don't know if you guys could switch your information in the group chat. But, try to link up, because he said he wanted to talk to you.
Okay, absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about, intercommunalism, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, but try to see if y'all can work it out and switch numbers. He hit me early in the week, but I was so busy I didn't even make that connection. Yo, my bad, Megabyte.
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to connecting, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
All power to the people. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Methodist Episcopal Church of America, we have the following officials and organizations. Or to put it differently, here we have a mayor appointed from without with great administrative and legislative powers, although well limited by long and zealously cherished custom. He acts conjointly with a select council, the trustees of Board of Finance, composed of stewards and stewardess, a common council of committees, and occasionally of all church members.
They're like on the side right here, they're showing you how the church, the inner working of the church is just like how your city management works, city hall, city council. Like I told you, the churches were the first institutions in the community that really showed the people in the community how to organize the community. I mean, look, the bishop of the district, the presiding elder, they're the executive, the pastor, these are the executive. Then these are the boards of trustees, general church meeting, the board, all this stuff. Everything is laid out. Yo, nothing out here is organic. Yo, most people think they could just wake up, you give a good speech, and you talk to people real well. You don't curse. This is what's going to move things or change anything in a society. No, this is what changes when you're organized like this. When we're sitting at the table in our communities and we're organized like this to take control of our communities, that's when you start to see changes outside. This is what organizing means. Organizing is not outside walking till your feet hurt, screaming, begging people to do stuff for you. This is what organizing is. And the church has been doing this forever. But they have not been, the argument today is they haven't been doing it for the benefit of the people in the community. Just like Megabyte said, They've never been doing it for the benefit of the community. Wherever you want to go, how far back you want to go in history, the church, by and large, works with the government or the system that's in place to basically control how the people move.
Chair, I do want to add, I don't think that churches are a completely evil institution. I think that they offer great benefits to their community, and many times I just think that they are something that, because of their relationship with the government, they're easy to become a tool of manipulation of the government. I don't think that's the only influence that they have, and I don't want to denigrate anybody who finds community through their faith and does bring positive change to their community through it. It's not a universal thing that churches are bad in my eyes. Churches are great and have been a powerful tool to move people. That is why they're a powerful weapon against people.
All power to the people. Now look, you might be pissed off, but that's how you feel.
Peace and blessing.
Peace and blessing. Peace and blessing. But hold up, Muta. No, go ahead. Go first, Muta.
I was just triggered by the blanket statement that churches are overall good, and I live in a city where you see a church almost every other block, and you don't see any good in the community as a result of what the churches actually do.
All power to the people. And I was going to say, like, yo, I feel you. I feel the way you I understand how you feel, Megabyte. But yeah, but you're a Marxist.
Can I?
And Marxists believe in ideological struggle.
Can I add something, Chairman? After?
Yeah, go ahead.
Especially in the white community, on the right especially, but they have turned Christianity into a weapon, and they've quite literally targeted the dumbest of America, the uneducated, the ones that probably are not even able to read the Bible and truly comprehend. You know what I mean? They're going by what they're being told, and our government is seizing that opportunity to. And that's the problem we have on I guess the left, if you want to talk social media terms, is we're not united at all, which is why I wanted to join this cause so bad, is because the right is united in their hatred, in their stupidity, in their ignorance. For a lot of them, that's all they have going for them, thinking that somehow they're going to get into heaven after all of this. It's honestly astounding how they've managed to weaponize the whole thing.
No, but it's like, it's not just on the right. Go to any black church in the hood, like my man Muta just said. You have a church on every block, literally every block, but they're doing nothing to do anything in those communities. And there are people that go to those churches. Why are those people going to the churches? Why are those people still listening to these people that haven't done anything to change anything in the community? My mother, and this could go for all of us here, most of the people in our community, our mothers, our grandmothers, our parents went to these churches and they invested all their money, put all their money every week. They put money to these churches, and then when they pass away, you can't even go to these places to go bury them. I mean, they close the doors to you. They wouldn't even do the funerals. I mean, so it's like, it's the way how we've been conditioned to view these institutions, and then the way how they actually function. I was looking at the quote. There was the quote from Marx when he's talking about religion is an opiate to the masses. But there's a few sentences before that where he's talking about how the people basically in these communities, I don't remember the quote verbatim, but the people in these communities, like, they seek love and family and community from these institutions. That's what they go to these institutions to get, and those institutions basically manipulate them and uses them, like you're saying with the reactionary Republicans, whatever. These institutions basically manipulate them to think and do things that they think are just, or they think are right, or that they've accepted to be right. But in all actuality, it changes nothing in the community. Generation after generation, we go through the same things over and over and over because we're not organized like we see right here on the screen. I'm talking about me, Megabyte, the people that's going to the churches, the people that's going to these churches in the community. We're not organized to sit down and do this kind of work in our community. We allow others to tell us who the enemy is. not the person that's making it impossible for us to afford rent, making it impossible. Yo, y'all know this gas went up? Yo, this how they stealing oil tankers in the ocean, out sea, and gas still going up. Yo, I pay attention because I drive all day, every day. We have this after-school program. I got to take kids to school. I got to pick them up. So I pay attention to gas. I get gas almost every day. Bruh, gas went up like 30 cents, bruh. Ain't nobody saying that. It's a peep. And I don't even understand how that's happening if you're going around stealing other people's stuff, but you're saying you're doing it for me. You telling me the military out there, they're doing all this stuff, you're stealing ships, but I'm still paying more for gas because nothing they're doing has anything to do with us. We are just bystanders. We just here to see. But let's finish with the boys. We ain't never going to get through
the
this.
various functions of the church are carried out by societies and organizations.
Hold on. Go ahead, Ibrahim. Come on, I'm never going to silence nobody. What you said?
No, I just wanted to say that Drew's kid was an attack on the church, the white church, the black church. It was an attack on mega churches and prosperity gospel. And I know Megabyte has said the right is weaponizing the church against the masses of like the poor and the ignorant people. But what you'll see is there's a lot of affluent people that go to church. That evangelical stuff that they're running on the right is also ran on the left. If y'all remember, not just a few years ago, Reverend Warnock was the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, and he used that position to usher himself into a congressional seat. So it's not just like something that's being weaponized on the right; it's being weaponized on the left, and that's what this kid was about, right? How they are able to weaponize these mass messages to be able to pilfer dollars from poor people and pretty much put it into their pockets. But it was an attack on mega churches and prosperity.
All power to the people. Now, I think Warnock is in Atlanta, and that was Jeremy that said that about the conservatives, about weaponizing the stuff in there. But this has been going on. What you about to say, Muta?
All right, so I wanted to add a point because I don't want to just attack the churches, right? Because I'm Muslim, so I grew up in a masjid, right? And I grew up an orphan. My mother passed at 14. So mind you, I'm telling you, I grew up in a masjid where as though I went to the masjid like people go to churches, like Sunday school, practice, Catholic, all. So I was in the same masjid. My mother gave money to this masjid. I was in there like 5 days a week. When my mother passed, there was nothing for me. I was completely forgot about. So I sold drugs my whole life. Because I was a straight A student prior to my mother's death. I mean, I never seen a B on my report card prior to my mother's death. And the masjid, the religious institution that should have took care of an orphan, did not. And this is what goes on in our community all around. Whether it's a masjid, whether it's the church, whatever religious institutions we have, they have nothing to provide.
All power to the people. And that's deep. That's deep because, like, we talk about what's going on. But we talking about Warnock and Warnock, what you call it, going on to go into Congress, the Senate, wherever I think in the Congress. But he was like you said, like Ibrahim said, he was a preacher. He used the church. Like a generation ago, 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago. And all our leaders in our community basically came from the church because they understood this right here. In the church, you were given your ability to talk to the congregation. As an entertainer, you sang in the choir. I mean, like all our leaders, people that came out of the church, were the ones that were basically in the political life in all these different institutions because they learned this discipline. They learned this right here. They learned this that most of us don't know in our communities, that we haven't put together yet, that we haven't gone next door to our neighbors. You want to say something, Ibrahim?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Black Atlanta, the Black Mecca, whatever you want to call it, what it was built on the facts of church. But I wanted to specifically speak to what the brother just said, and that's why I made a distinction between, because, like, me personally, I was born Muslim. I grew up in the mosque. The mosque is that I'm affiliated with and associated with still to this day is mosques. They're not like these big mosques that bring in millions of dollars. We're starting to get like bigger and bigger mosques in Indianapolis area, but those are mostly like people who are just coming to America and they're doing that with foreign dollars. The mosque that I'm affiliated with provides social services, right? Halfway houses for men, free food pantries for the community. When somebody passed away, people are putting together their dollars, burying people, just doing what they can for the community. That's why I made a distinguishment between like mega church and just a church that's in the community that's doing good, right? And I actually took that model from being Muslim, being affiliated. See, in churches, there's one mosque in our community where they pay $30,000 just to keep the lights on, right? They got a full basketball court in there, but you go to that mosque during Ramadan and I don't know what's going on in there. And then you got small mosques in the community that's actually organizing, doing the work, making sure people get jobs, transition from prison, going into the prison, right? And that's the distinguishment that I made. I'm not saying that to discourage him or what his experience is. But I'm just trying to, make that distinction.
All power to the people. Hey, yo, Ibrahim, real talk, I'm not playing no games with you. If I need to buy you a better sound system, I will send you one because I want you to be part of what we're doing, bro. You got to get a better sound system. You be breaking up.
I'm always driving, and then it's just like the internet and everything.
Hey, yo, but listen, it don't matter. We're going to deal with it. You hear? I basically got the gist of what you were saying. But let me put the video on.
The form of government varies, but is generally some form of democracy closely guarded by custom and tempered by possible and not infrequent secession. The functions of such churches in order of present emphasis are 1. The raising of the annual budget. 2. The maintenance of membership. 3. Social intercourse and amusements. 4. The setting of moral standards. 5. Promotion of general intelligence. 6. Efforts for social betterment. 1. The annual budget is of first importance because the life of the organization depends upon it. The amount of expenditure is not very accurately determined beforehand, although its main items do not vary much. There is a pastor's salary.
And this must be said. If we live in a socioeconomic society, we cannot expect to do nothing without socioeconomics, without economics. You cannot maintain institutions. You can't put nothing together if there's no economics. The stuff that we did in the community, we just talking about us. We started and still now, by and large, use all our resource. We work with the plans. We work. Mute yourself if you're not mute. But we work on the plantation with our resources.
Ibrahim needs to mute.
Nah, he got it. But we work on the plantation because we all on the plantation. I don't care what job you got. Ibrahim driving right now. He's working right now. We all work. We're all on the plantation. I don't care if you work at a university. We're doing this work for other people. So we work on the plantation and we use the resources from our job to basically try to fund what we're doing. You have to have money coming in. If there's no money coming in, there's nothing being done. So as organizers, as people that are interested in doing this work, that's a conversation that we must have. You've got to be able to raise money. If you're working for the people, you shouldn't feel no type of way about asking the people to help you do what you're doing. This is part of it. Because we're trying to say we can fund our revolution. We don't need to wait for no rich person, no entertainer, no celebrity. We don't need those people to come change our reality. We can do it ourselves. And this is how you do it. And the way how you do it is by going back to go study, to read. And like what Mao said, go and organize the people in them farms. So what we going to do? We take the marching orders from Mao, and we go organize them people in the, on the farms. And by organizing them, they got farms. They're farming. They got food. So we can all eat. We can all work together with all our farms, connect what we're doing wherever we at in our communities, and we can all eat. We don't have to wait for a paycheck for us to be able to eat. Because those farmers that you're going to organize, they got farms. Yo, it works the same way today.
The maintenance of the building, light and heat, the wages of a janitor, contributions to various church projects, and the like, to which must be usually added the interest on some debt. The sum thus required varies in Philadelphia from $200 to $5,000. A small part of this is raised by a direct tax on each member. Besides this, voluntary contributions by members, roughly gauged according to ability.
That's why you pay dues. You start an organization. I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3 of you. If you're really serious about what you're doing, we should be paying dues to try to reach our goal. Nobody's coming to do nothing for us. We must all do it together, ourselves. We have to understand that. That's what the church was teaching them back then. You see, but what the church was teaching them to go raise money. They go to business people, go to different people, whatever, to go raise money. No, we got to raise our money amongst ourselves.
Are expected, and a strong public opinion usually compels payment. Another large source of revenue is the collection after the sermons on Sunday, when amid the reading of notices and a subdued hum of social intercourse, a stream of givers walk to the pulpit and place in the hands of the trustee or steward in charge a contribution, varying from a cent to $1 or more. To this must be added the steady revenue from entertainments, suppers, socials, fairs, and the like. In this way, the Negro...
Yeah, like these are different things you got to do to be able to raise money, to bring money in. Most of the programs that we have, that we offer to the community, all of our programs, right now, all of our programs is free. Whatever we're doing for the community is free. But you got to be able to also raise money. So, like, let's say what? Like having concerts. Like selling, where we at right here? Let me see where, this is 352. So here, let me go all the way down. I got to go all the way down. Right. Hey, General Secretary, can you come back, please? I don't know what I did right here. Right here. Hey, look, we sell hoodies. We sell the hoodies, what was that, $45 adult price, $40 kid. Hit this? Yeah. Okay. We sell the hoodies. What else we do? We do barbecues in the summertime. We do barbecues. We have meals that we go out. We buy the food. We come in. We prep the food. We do all this stuff. We pay for the hoodies because you got to pay for it. The hoodie not free. And then you sell it for a little bit of a markup. These are the type of things that you got to do, that we do, to try to raise money to be able to fund the things that we doing. Like I said, gas is going up. Ain't nobody giving you no money for no gas to go pick nobody up. You got to be able to fund this. At our after-school program, the kids got to eat every day. We got to get them something to eat. That money got to come from somewhere. The time that we did, the space, everything needs to be paid for. We've been in the gym right now where we have the after-school program for like about 3 years now. We had to pay for the floor to get done, to get fixed up. You live in a socio-economic world. To act like finances play no part in it is to be naive. I mean, you're kind of insane or something wrong with you. There's money in everything we're doing, man, in everything. Let me see.
The Philadelphia Negro, Chapter 12, Section 32.
I know where I'm at. I'm coming, y'all.
It's in the hand, a cent to $1 or more. To this must be added the steady revenue from entertainments, suppers, socials, fairs, and the like. In this way, the Negro churches of Philadelphia raise nearly $100,000 a year. They hold in real estate 900,000
megabyte, 100,000 a year. This was in 1896. I need you to figure out how much that is today, and let me know in a second, megabyte. You heard?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, let me know in a second. But be that as it may, they raised 100,000 in 1896 by doing that. Like, we can raise money now to do the work that we're doing in the community. That's actually serving the community. We can do it. It's not impossible.
$1,000 worth of
3.8 to 4 million.
What you said?
3.8 to 4 million dollars.
That's what they would have raised. What can we do with that kind of money? What can we do? If all of us are organized workers in our community and we trying to raise money, what can we do with that kind of money?
If that's 10% down on an apartment complex, that's a $40 million apartment complex.
Apartment complexes. We just talking about one apartment complex. We can build schools in our communities. We can build things in our community, institutions in our community that serve the people if we really boots on the ground, really doing this work to raise the money to make sure we do the work that needs to be done. Yo, because that, like today is Sunday. We're sitting at a podcast. This is all free. Nobody's paying anybody to be here. We're not trying to get revenue from advertisers, from Nike. We're not on YouTube trying to get rich. Yo, we're trying to find people that are really interested in changing the conditions in their community. This don't come with no money. But if we all organize and we all sit down and we set up our board and we go through the political education classes on Wednesday and we understand who our enemy is. Our enemy is not a gay person. Our enemy is not a white person. Our enemy is not a cripple. I don't know, an immigrant. Whatever all the reasons that they give us, our enemy is that damn imperialist that's making it impossible for you to buy eggs. That's trying to come in and take your home. That's trying to take everything you got, separate your family. This is who our enemy is. That's what we're fighting against. If we go to the political education class and we all understand this, and then we sit down at the table and we have executive, we have all these people that's in charge of doing what we need to do, yo, how can we fail? We've never had that. The people have never, ever had that. The history of the world is that of class struggle. That's the history of the world, by and large. Because there are no absolutes. I'm a scientist at the end of the day. There are no absolutes. But the history of the world is that of class struggle. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you go to Europe, Eurasia, whatever. I don't care if you go to Africa. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you go to China. The history of the world is that of class struggles. The laws, the this, the that, the us, the niggas. The history of the world is that of class struggle. Once we go to the political education classes and we understand that, and we understand all these other social stratifications, gay, white, immigrant, all of this goofy stuff that they try to throw in our face to keep us separate. If we understand those things so that to just keep us separate, and what we really need to do is control the land outside, the air outside, the water outside, us, the ones in the community. Once we understand that, and we evolve past that stage that we've been socialized to think and see, there's no stopping us. None. And that's what this whole purpose is. But you can't have one without the other. You can't have a whole body so you organize the people to liberate the people, but there's no education. People don't know what they're doing. They're just doing it because they're just trying to have what is it called? What do they call it in the Red Book? Unprincipled peace. You have people all around each other just fighting for unprincipled peace. So even though you don't like the person, you think they're a scumbag, you're not going to say nothing. You're just going to keep quiet about it because you're dealing with unprincipled peace. To hell with whatever contradictions they have that's against what we're doing over here, but we're doing unprincipled peace. You are liberal. We are not liberals. We are not liberals. We're revolutionaries. We want to change the status quo.
Insignificant element in the economics of the city. 2. Extraordinary methods are used and efforts made to maintain and increase the membership of the various churches. To be a popular church.
I know I keep stopping it, but all of this is to grow our numbers. That's what they're talking about. They're on number 3, number 2, whatever. To grow their numbers. That's why we do this stuff. That's why we're on social media. That's why we're talking to you now. That's why we talk to anybody. To grow our numbers. Once we are large in our numbers, then when we walk up to that church that Jay went to today, and we tell them, yo, we come defend you. And you walk up there with like 50 people, 100 people, all of them armed. Like, they're not going to ask no questions. They're just going to get down.
Church with large membership means ample revenues, large social influence, and a leadership among the colored people unequaled in power and effectiveness. Consequently, people are attracted to the church by sermons, by music, and by entertainments. Finally, every year a revival is held, at which considerable numbers of young people are converted.
Now I gotta keep stopping it because he's spitting bars. Hey, yo, people are attracted to the church what? For all those what they call it? the bread and circuses. That's what he's saying. That's why people are attracted to it. I mean, because they think they can go there, they can get all of that. It's going to give them a community, all of that. But we're going to give it to them. We're going to give it to them for real. When they really call, we really show up. When somebody, their grandmother, their mother, when they die, we really show up. That's what will separate us, you see, in practice, will separate us from any other institution.
All this is done in perfect sincerity and without much thought of merely increasing membership.
Bars. I mean, it's done with sincerity. Like, we're sincere in what we're doing. We really want to change the conditions. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want them to gentrify my community. I don't want to keep paying crazy amount of money for gas. I don't want the police whooping my ass and shooting me in the back. Our brotherhood, our family bond is forged through struggle. That's a whole different level.
Yet every small church strives to be large by these means, and every large church to maintain itself or grow larger. The churches thus vary from 12 to 1,000 members. 3. Without wholly conscious effort, the Negro church has become a center of social intercourse to a degree unknown in white churches, even in the country. The various churches, too, represent social classes. At St. Thomas, one looks for the well-to-do Philadelphians, largely descendants of favorite mulatto house servants, and consequently well-bred and educated, but rather cold and reserved to strangers or newcomers. At Central Presbyterian, one sees the older, simpler set of respectable Philadelphians, with distinctly Quaker characteristics, pleasant but conservative. At Bethel may be seen the best of the great laboring class, steady, honest people, well-dressed.
And remember what he said about the Quakers. Remember, like, the Quakers was the best people right now. The Quakers are paying them. They paid them to come do this study. I mean, because like, if this like your first couple of weeks here, your Du Bois was paid by the Quakers that ran the school, whatever university out there, for him to come do this study. So the church paid them for him to come down and do a study about the black condition out in Philly, because the church was like, they're supposed to be abolitionists. I mean, so to him, the best people are the people that were putting money in his pocket for him to dress like that. So he was saying like the Quakers are the best people out here. Oh my God! What? All right, stop doing this, man.
And educated, but rather cold and reserved to strangers or newcomers. At Central Presbyterian, one sees the older, simpler set of respectable Philadelphians, with distinctly Quaker characteristics, pleasant but conservative. At Bethel may be seen the best of the great laboring class.
If you're new here, you missed the first classes where we talked about the Quakers. I mean, like he said, pleasant and reserved, or whatever he said about the Quakers. The Quakers ran everything back then. The Quakers were the ones running the plantation. They had plantation. They had slaves. I mean, back then they were what, the petty bourgeois, whatever at that time. Cause like when you got everything, it's easy to be pleasant. When you're not hungry, when your ribs are not touching, it's easy to be pleasant. I mean, but these are the people to him that were the good people, the people that you would want to be like, the people that own and control everything. That's what Du Bois was saying.
Steady, honest people, well-dressed and well-fed, and with church and family traditions. At Wesley will be found the new arrivals, the sightseers and the strangers to the city, hearty and easygoing people who welcome all comers and ask few questions. At Union Baptist, one may look for the Virginia servant girls and their young men, and so on throughout the city. Each church forms its own social circle, and not many stray beyond its bounds. Introductions into that circle come through the church, and thus the stranger becomes known. All sorts of entertainment and amusements are furnished by the churches: concerts, suppers, socials, fairs, literary exercises, and debates.
These are all things that we must do in our intercommunalism. We have people here. you know who you are. We have people here that work in entertainment that know how to set up all this stuff. We supposed to be sitting down, organizing on how we're going to do these events in all these different spaces, all these different communities, because those events is what bring in the new recruits, that bring in the people that you're trying to bring in. Because when you have those events, the people come to the event. When they come to the event, then you could start to recruit and see who you want to be part of what you're doing and grow your numbers. But these are all things that we're, like when you say you organizing, you say you starting a chapter, they're basically telling you here in practice how you're supposed to manage it, the things that you're supposed to do. So you should be taking notes, writing it down. And this is why all our leaders all came from where? The church. Because the church was the first institution that really trained them.
Cantatas, plays, excursions, picnics, surprise parties, celebrations. Every holiday is the occasion of some special entertainment by some club, society, or committee of the church. Thursday afternoons and evenings, when the servant girls are free, are always sure to have some sort of entertainment. Sometimes these exercises are free. Sometimes an admission fee is charged. Sometimes refreshments or articles are on sale. The favorite entertainment is a concert with solo singing, instrumental music, reciting, and the like. Many performers make a living by appearing at these entertainments in various cities, and often they are persons of training and ability, although not always. So frequent are these and other church exercises that there are few Negro churches which are not open 4 to 7 nights in a week, and sometimes 1 or 2 afternoons in addition. Perhaps the pleasantest and most interesting social intercourse takes place on Sunday. The weary week's work is done. The people have slept late and had a good breakfast, and sally forth to church well-dressed and complacent. The usual hour of the morning service is 11.
Now look, while you're listening, remember, you have to fit this into the class that you're dealing with. The class that he's talking about that was waking up at 11 o'clock in 1896, wake up at 11 o'clock for them to eat, their stomachs are full, for them to be able to go to church and do all of that. See, those are not the class of people that we out here in the hood trying to serve. Keeping it a buck with you. Most of the people that we trying to serve, the family we trying to serve, they don't be eating. It'd be hard for them to eat. So it's like you got to fit the organizing to fit the people wherever you're at. That's what I stopped it to say.
The people stream in until after 12. The sermon is usually short and stirring, but in the larger churches elicits little espoused other than an amen or two. After the sermon, the social features begin. Notices on the various meetings of the week are read. People talk with each other in subdued tones, take their contribution to the altar, and linger in the aisles and corridors long after dismission to laugh and chat until 1 or 2 o'clock. Then they go home to good dinners. Sometimes there is some special 3 o'clock service, but usually nothing save Sunday school until night. Then comes the chief meeting of the day. Probably 10,000 Negroes gather every Sunday night in their churches. There is much music, much preaching, some short addresses. Many strangers are there to be looked at. Many beaux bring out their bells, and those who do not gather in crowds at the church door and escort the young women home. The crowds are usually well-behaved and respectable, though rather more jolly than comports with a Puritan idea of church services.
In other words, you have to be part of the community. Whatever you organize and whatever you're trying to do in your community, the community has to support it. You have to be able to bring the community in. It has to be part of their life. It has to be a way of life. So like us, for example, the kid, it's hard for what they call child care. It's hard for people to have child care that don't have nothing, that don't have the money. It's expensive. You'll provide it. Provide the child care. Pick them up from school. Do the after school program. Help them with their homework. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, How many children do you think you're working with when you're doing this consistently in the community? So that when it comes time for people, when people start attacking you, start saying things about you, who is going to be the one that's going to be there like, nah, that's not who I know? What we've been seeing of the Black Panther Party around here is they've been feeding the community. They've been having after-school programs. They're not doing nothing out here crazy. What are you talking about? Yeah, we know them. They're not fake. They're not the FBI. In fact, they go to war with the police out here. The people are going to speak up because the stuff that you're doing is part of the community. Yo, it's really simple once you know, once you understand. When I was growing up, I didn't understand like the church, all this different function of the churches, how it was organized. I didn't know that, even though I grew up in church. That's the funny part. My mother was married to a preacher. I grew up in church.
In this way, the social life of the Negro centers in this church. Baptism, wedding and burial, gossip and courtship, friendship and intrigue, all lie in these walls. What's wonder that this central clubhouse tends to become more and more luxuriously furnished, costly in appointment, and easy of access? 4. It must not be inferred from all this that the Negro is hypocritical or irreligious. His church is, to be sure, a social institution first, and religious afterwards, but nevertheless, its religious activity is wide and sincere. In direct moral teaching and in setting moral standards for the people, however, the church is timid, and naturally so, for its constitution is democracy tempered by custom. Negro preachers are often condemned for poor leadership and empty sermons, and it is said that men with so much power and influence could make striking moral reforms. This is but partially true. The congregation does not follow the moral precepts of the preacher, but rather the preacher follows the standard of his flock, and only exceptional men dare seek to change this. And here it must be remembered that the Negro preacher is primarily an executive officer rather than a spiritual guide. If one goes into any great Negro church and hears the sermon and views the audience, one would say, either the sermon is far below the caliber of the audience, or the people are less sensible than they look. The former explanation is usually true. The preacher is sure to be a man of executive ability, a leader of men, a shrewd and affable president of a large and intricate corporation. In addition to this, he may be, and usually is, a striking elocutionist. He may also be a man of integrity, learning, and deep spiritual earnestness. But these last 3 are sometimes all lacking, and the last 2 in many cases.
Repeat that. So what the preacher really needs to be is somebody that know how to manage the church. Like believing in God, all that extra stuff, that's secondary. That's according to Du Bois. Sometimes they don't even need to have that part. The real part is knowing how to manage those people in there and giving them what they expect, what they're already conditioned to accept. Not you coming in there telling them the truth, coming in there telling them about the world that's around them. Like, that's not what that space is for, according to Du Bois.
Some signs of advance are here manifest. No minister of notoriously immoral life or even of bad reputation could hold a large church in Philadelphia without eventual revolt. Most of the present pastors are decent, respectable men. There are perhaps 1 or 2 exceptions to this.
Look, and when he's saying decent, respectable men, he's talking about men that work like managerial in the managerial world, like people that are educated in this schools, in this social conditioning schools, and they're able to fit into white supremacy. These are the people he's talking about. He's not talking about no slave, somebody coming up from down south, because he called them migrants in his other book. I mean, in earlier chapters, like the way he talked about the slave, like the slaves were the bad people. They're not the people he's talking about right here. He's talking about who? The slave that worked for master, the one that master had with the other slave, the son of the master that was given resources and given position on the plantation or given position in the community. He's not talking about the slave, the one that freed himself from bondage, the one that ran away from down south to free himself, the one on the plantation. He's not talking about those kind of people. Those are not the decent people he's talking about. Because remember, if you forget, I don't want you to ever forget. You got to keep remembering. Fred Hampton said we're in a class struggle. Whenever like you have doubts in your mind and you don't understand what's going on, look at it from a class perspective. It's going to open everything up to you. Like you got to remember what class he was in and the people that are good people. So who are those people today? Those good people would be what? Politicians.
The Obamas.
Yeah, they'll be politicians, celebrities. These are the good people. Like what? Let's say lawyers, people that work in this system, that are intricate to the system and get paid in this system. Capitalists. These are the people that he would look at as good people, as worthy.
Anybody that's the first black anything.
Yeah.
But the exceptions are doubtful rather than notorious. On the whole, then, the average Negro preacher in the city is a shrewd manager, a respectable man, a good talker, a pleasant companion, but neither learned nor spiritual, nor a reformer. The moral standards are therefore set by the congregations and vary from church to church in some degree. There has been a slow working toward a literal obeying of the Puritan and ascetic standards of morals which Methodism imposed upon the freedmen. But condition and temperament have modified these. The grosser forms of immorality, together with theater going and dancing, are specifically denounced. Nevertheless, the precepts against specific amusements are often violated by church members. The cleft between denominations is still wide, especially between Methodists and Baptists. The sermons are usually kept within the safe ground of a mild Calvinism, with much insistence on salvation, grace, fallen humanity, and the like. The chief function of these churches in morals is to conserve old standards and create about them a public opinion which shall deter the offender. And in this, the Negro churches are peculiarly successful, although naturally the standards conserved are not as high as they should be. 5. The Negro churches were the birthplace of Negro schools and of all agencies which seek to promote the intelligence of the masses. And even today, no agency serves to disseminate news or information so quickly and effectively among Negroes as the church. The Lyceum and lecture here still maintain a feeble but persistent existence, and church newspapers and books are circulated widely. Night schools and kindergartens are still held in connection with churches, and all Negro celebrities, from a bishop to a poet like Dunbar, are introduced to Negro audiences from the pulpits. 6. Consequently, all movements for social betterment are apt to center in the churches. Beneficial societies in endless number are formed here. Secret societies keep in touch. Cooperative and building associations have lately sprung up. The minister often acts as an employment agent. Considerable charitable and relief work is done in special meetings held to aid special projects. The race problem in all its phases is continually being discussed, and indeed from this forum, many a youth goes forth inspired to work. Such are some of the functions of the Negro Church, and a study of them indicates how largely this organization has come to be an expression of the organized life of Negroes in a great city.
All power to the people. All right, so when he say Dunbar, I don't know if he's talking about Paul Laurence Dunbar. I learned about him like when I was in high school. This poem, it never left my mind. We wear the mask. I mean, that poem always been in my mind because I remember back then wearing the mask too. I mean, going through like the world, like everything was okay, but I saw all these contradictions. Like when I read that poem, it never. I wonder if he's talking about him, but So we moving on here. We going to Skip Gates, man. This is Skip Gates. Let me read you a little bio about Skip Gates real quick. If you don't know who Skip Gates is. Henry Louis Gates Jr., born September 16, 1950, popularly known by his childhood name Skip, is an American literary critic, professor, historian, and filmmaker who serves as the Alphonse Fletcher University professor and the director of the Hutchins Center for African and African American Research at Harvard University. He is a trustee of the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. He discovered the earliest known African American novel and has published extensively on the recognition of African American literature as part of the Western canon. Let me see something real quick. American literature professor, historian. Yeah, he's a historian. But that's who Gates is. So what's going on in our world right now? What are we dealing with right now? What everybody talking about right now? Everybody talking about that Epstein stuff. Everybody talking about what's going on with Epstein. Everybody talking about what's going on in Gaza. Everybody talking about what's going on with them people, with the Jays. I don't want to say their names to get nobody in trouble here. But everybody's talking about those people. So what you do? They bring this guy out right here. You got Gates coming out. He's about to, like, it's Black History Month. So he's going to do a special talking about the relationship of black people with Jewish people. Yo, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey my whole life. Yo, we have no relationship with Jewish people. The only relationship people like myself have with Jewish people is they exploit the community. They're the slumlords. They're the landlords in our community that own the buildings, that won't put on the heat, that won't have the hot water on, that got us living with mices and all of these different things that are doubling.
Damn it. There's a distinction. It's the class of Jewish people. Remember, we're dealing with class.
Why you so low?
No, some people don't know.
I said, why you so low? Why you so low?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think some people don't know because then they want to hit you with the anti-Semitism. No, we're talking about a class of Jewish people.
Yeah, but yeah, all power to the people. But real talk, anybody that would say anything that we say is anti-Semitism, I'm not trying to reach you. I'm not trying to talk to you. You're not the person. I'm not casting this wide net trying to find you. I'm trying to find people that are already there, that are inquisitive, that are sincere and want to learn. But they bring Robert Gates out, so now it's Black History Month, and he's doing a special on PBS. You see, I don't support PBS. I don't support what they call it, the education, like they're trying to cut public education. I personally don't support any of their institutions because all of their institutions are here to maintain the status quo. So if you don't understand me, like, listen, I support none of their institutions. I believe we need to build our own institutions separate from theirs. So PBS, the Department of Education, all these things can wither away and die. It means me nothing because this is what they do. Their crimes are nefarious. Their crimes are like having a Biden and a Trump. You see, when you got Biden, you really don't know what's going on. You're walking around, you don't know they're deporting more people than Trump. They're deporting all these people. You see, you have no idea. But when there's Trump, even though he deported the least amount of people, he's such a buffoon and so stupid. He got them out there hunting people down in the middle of the street, shooting white people in the face. Like, this is what a Trump management would do. But a Biden management, you wouldn't see none of it. You would almost forget that it was national news that they was on horses. I'm talking about during Biden time, whipping people on the border, whipping Haitians on the border on horses with whips. See, that's how good Biden is. You people forget all of that. He's a better evil than Trump. I mean, so when Trump comes into office, it really don't mean nothing. The same conditions persist. These institutions work the same no matter who's in power. But be that as it may, they get your boy Skip to come up here to come tell us how Jews have been so cool with us. General Secretary, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want a point of clarification. When you say I personally, no, as Marxists, Maoists, Leninists, and members of the new African Black Panther Party, we do not believe in these institutions.
All power to the people. I'm still an individual in that circle. I mean, so like, because we bring people into the circle and they believe what they want to believe. But be that as it may, no, as an organization, we don't believe any of that. But Skip Gates is gonna come here and he's about to tell us, see, this is different levels, yo. I'm giving you different levels of social consciousness and exploitation and collaborationism. Skip Gates is on one level. Then I have a Dr. Jared Ball. He also works at a university, at a black university. He's the one that's contradicting. He's gonna be contradicting what Gates is doing and saying. But I contradict Ball on what he's doing and he's saying. We're going to get there in a minute, but let me play the beginning of this for you real quick.
All right, everybody. We're just going to watch
That's Jared Ball. You see, if Jared Ball saw me somewhere, because I talked to him before, and he, when I talked to him, he was trying to sound real aggressive, real tough. And every time somebody sound real aggressive, real tough with me, I always tell them, I heard it somewhere, and it sounded so cool to me. So I repeat it. I always tell them, hey, yo, put the gun away, man. I'm not coming, I'm coming in peace. I mean, so when he started talking real gangster on social media and the messages, he was talking real tough. I'm like, hey, look, bro. I texted him back, put the gun away. I'm not here to fight you or nothing. And then I went on to talk about what I'm trying to talk about. But he's still in that class space. I mean, he's still looking at it from his class solidarity space. I mean, and if he's being sincere, he's standing in front of me, he can't argue nothing I'm saying. He don't live with the people. He's not in the hood with the people. He live in the suburbs. He's not working in the hood with the people. He's the head of some department at a university. You're never with the people, really. You're not in the streets. You don't understand what the people are really going through. I mean, but that's not me being a jerk. It's me keeping it a buck. But to him, people like Louis Gates, you see, because they won't let him inside of their circle. They're the people above him. That's the class above him. So he has contradictions with the stuff they be saying. But both of them, man, they're not in the community. They're not boots on the ground, serving the people, building institutions to liberate the people. And that's what I've told him before, and I would say to him to his face, I'm not kicking your back in here. I mean, all this talking, all these videos, all this writing books, it's not building institutions in the community to serve the people. That's all.
It's together. And I don't know what the final product is going to end up looking like. Maybe edited portions, maybe the whole thing, maybe just on Patreon. I know it's going to start there. Maybe just for channel members. We'll have to see how this works, but maybe maybe I'll cut it down and put it in clips, but we'll see. But the bottom line is episode 1. Let My People Go, Black and Jewish America, and Interwoven History. Oh.
When I was growing up, I only thought of race in terms of black and white. It wasn't until much later, when I learned about anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, that I realized how endlessly flexible the idea of difference can be. Across history, Jews have been mocked and feared, blamed and banished.
So am I hearing this correctly that...
Before you even say what he's talking about, because he about to say another thing that he caught, the first thing I'm thinking is, people can't find a place to stay. It's like 0 degrees outside. There are people sleeping outside. There are people being under attack by slumlords, landlords. These politicians are in these communities abusing and terrorizing our communities. This is what you want to talk about, Skip Gates? Our relationship with the same Jewish people? Oh, I didn't say the J word. But before we did this program, I was thinking I should go try to find a video to play it, where we're going to people complexes, and they haven't had heat for 6 months. They haven't had hot water for a whole year. And the people that are managing that building are the people that he's talking about. These are the people we see in our communities with their penguin suits walking around. It's not it's not a figment of our imagination. We've been complaining about these people generation after generation after generation. So with all the stuff that the people, black people, are going through in America right now, You heard the brother say earlier, a young white boy said he went to the Haitian church to go see how he could help them, give them protection, or give them any kind of service they need to be able to deal with what's going on in their community with ICE and all of this. This is what this white boy is doing, 27-year-old. Look at what Skip Gates is doing. Black History Month. This is what he took time out of his life to do. But you know why? Because they're paying him. I don't know who paid him, how much they paid him. I have no idea. But I'm going to tell you this right now, gun to my head. He's not doing none of this if he's not getting paid. You want to bet? Who want to bet out there? He getting paid. So while our people are catching the hell they're catching out here, he's going to use his blackness. He's going to use that skin that he doesn't deserve to have to try to sell us on the people that's bombing and killing people around the world. This is what he's doing with his time right now. These are the people that are put in front of us, and we're told these are leaders in our communities that we should follow. This is exactly why I'm sitting here doing this program now. I don't know nothing about this field. I don't know how to do no journalism. I don't know how to do none of this. I just started doing it because we needed another voice. We cannot allow this goofball, egghead clown to be speaking for us. He don't speak for me. He would never speak for me in any life. He's a sellout, a traitor, a collaborator. That's what he's doing this whole program for, to get paid. Somebody's paying him. Some Jewish 8-pack something is paying him to go put this on PBS so millions of black people could see it. And then their idea of what struggle is, their idea of what we're supposed to be doing is skewed by the false information that he presented. Let it keep playing.
He who was supposed to be sort of the dean of the national leader of all black studies first realized the complexity of difference and experience through learning about anti-Semitism and the history of Jews.
That's not what came to my mind when I saw him up there. I'm just thinking about all the people, all the families we're helping, and these people with all this money, with all this wealth, with this platform, this notoriety. They're not speaking about none of it. The whole world has turned a blind eye to all these people suffering. And by and large, it's due to people like him. Because when the people see representative from our culture, this is all they're offered. People like this.
Envied and imitated. And so have black people. We share that experience. And we share something else as well. A duty to keep fighting hatred wherever it shows up.
A duty to keep fighting hatred wherever it shows up. Not to fight imperialism. Not to fight the slumlord, capitalism, the people exploiting us. To fight hatred. What is hatred? You could just say that by a duty to fight hatred. Say a whole bunch of words, but really say nothing.
So, I mean, he could have said the same thing about black people in any other group, for that matter.
CEO, you want to say something?
Just switch lines, brother. That's all. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Their depiction. There's a lot of literature on the similarly hostile depiction of Latinos, Asians, working class whites, women, and so on. So, again, the arbitrary yet selective choice of juxtaposing black people and Jews, again, there is this particular history, but the selection of it here is, again, done, I would think, to address that particular history, but in a very particular way. But I just wanted to just point out that pairing didn't necessarily have to be, and doesn't necessarily have to be, and is often incorrectly considered. So
they don't have to be, but they're paying him, so it is.
But
and Jews were able to come together for what, in retrospect, was a pretty brief period and create enormous change in the country.
Why did the NAACP support the creation of the State of Israel? Why did Jews support the Civil Rights Movement? Black and Jewish people
And then why did many black organizations, movements, and later the Black Power movement criticize Zionism and the state of Israel? Are we going to get to that, or is it again an artificial narrowing and selection of not only the pairing of black people and Jews, but of a particular wing politically of black people and Jews, the NAACP wing, for instance, as opposed to labor, socialist, communist, and other forms of radical struggle where those two groups have come in both to some unity and also to some hostility and disagreement. But we'll see.
Only when everyone is safe are we safe.
There is a history that we need to regard and respect. We would not have got certain things done without those alliances.
You see all these people? You see the kind of black people that he has on this show speaking? These are people that don't do nothing in our communities. These are all people like, you just saw Al Sharpton. He's on MSNBC. He's on platforms like that. He's funded by those spaces. These are not people that are in our communities, boots in the ground, serving the people. In most cases, we have to fight against these people because they come in our communities and they take the resources that's supposed to go to the people and they act like they're doing something in the community and the corporations pay them, like Al Sharpton. The corporations pay them. I forgot what term they use, but they're supposed to be like a bridge between the corporation and the community, as if they're doing something for the community.
They call it social responsibility on the business side.
Social responsibility, while they do nothing. So Al Sharpton is getting paid down by Academy Spires on 1st Street in North, 175, 195 1st Street. Al Sharpton has been getting millions from the people that own the buildings, claiming he's doing stuff in the community, but doing absolutely nothing. These are the people that Gates gets to come up here and speak and say things that we absolutely don't co-sign in our communities.
But I don't want to be accused of romanticizing the golden age of racial relationships between Jews and blacks. It wasn't an untroubled relationship.
And no one is in jail.
There are moments of real tension.
And like he know that people are allowed that know better. So he said, I don't want to romanticize it. Like then what do you call this? What do you call what you're doing?
And moments of betrayal.
The old alliance between blacks and Jews, is that in jeopardy now?
Very much so.
It's dangerous.
See Cornel West? Look at all these people that they got up here. All these people that have been getting paid their whole lives, exploiting our suffering, using our suffering to get paid while our communities stay the same way. These are the people that they have up here speaking.
To make it all the same. We're not the same. We come from different histories.
Jewish people get to be white with all the privileges that implies.
And when the relationship disintegrates, the argument that's made by the African American community is, but you had access to things that we never had.
I don't consider myself white. And when I once told our class that, they laughed in my face. You laughed in my face.
I did.
You heard him? I don't consider myself white. Because like whiteness is what's used to mask everything. Our issue is against whiteness. Whiteness. Like, and then that class, that imperialism is like basically put to the back burner where people don't even search that. Yo, the white boy that came here, the 27-year-old white boy that said I went to the black church, but he called me this morning. I didn't even know. He called me to get advice. That went to the black church to go protect those black Haitians there. You see, they wouldn't have him on this show. And if he's not careful, he's going to become the irresponsible white man. And they're going to come after him. But that's why you work in the organization. That's why you have intercommunalism, so you're not alone. He's learning. He's on the right path. But it's a reason for everything that we're doing out here.
So I decided, let's get into it. Let's just put it on the table and figure out what's left. Where is the area of overlap? Because anti-Semitism.
So again, just quickly, also he says let's get into it, and is presenting this in a way to suggest that this is novel and new. There's of course a lot of history and literature involving this comparison and parallel. I'm always referencing the Derek Bell quote about public policy being the equivalent of black people being taken out to a public place and shot by the hundreds each week.
You heard that? Public policy is equivalent to black people being taken out into the field and being shot
every week. That's what public policy. That's what Derek Bell said. To me, I think he a middle management sellout too. He didn't build. I don't see no institution built by any of these people. But this was his quote. Like, they know these policies don't do nothing for our communities, don't do nothing for the people. Or even if they don't want to admit it, there's already studies been done. But those policies, whenever Derek Bell wrote down, whenever Derek, man, you trying to tell me my lips are chapped? Oh, but whenever Derek Bell wrote any of that, whether he wrote it in the 80s or the 90s, what's been going on in our communities with all the policies that they've passed in our communities? What's been going on? Nothing has really changed, generation after generation. And he's saying public policy is tantamount to black people being taken out to the field and shot. That's how worthless it is. All these people that talk about policy, you can go get policy, we can go in there. You can go inside the system and you can make it better. Something is wrong with you. That means you're not studying history. You're naive. If you believe you can go inside imperialism and make it function to work the way you want to work it, there's something wrong with you. These people have been sitting down for generations, for decades, for centuries, plotting on how to control all of us. You think you just going to go in there, you're the super person, going to go in there and change everything. Yeah, sure.
That was in the book Strangers and Neighbor, a huge compilation edition of black and Jewish writers and probably some others considering this particular comparison. There is, of course, the Nation of Islam's, the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. I'm not saying I co-signed the approach. I wish I still had that tape of that really great conversation I had years ago on my radio show with Cedric Muhammad about that collection. Worthy of criticism, but I'm just pointing out that it exists. So and others. Cornel West's, I thought, kind of silly book with that rabbi some years ago that was considering these comparisons. But again, the point is, this is not new. It is like we're seeing a lot lately, a return of sorts to the topic for.
You see, and this is why I say I have an issue with Jared Ball. Like what he just said just now, like he said Cornel West and that silly book he wrote. But when Cornel West was running for president, he came on their show. And they were talking about they were all going to work for him. They would work on his campaign to help get him elected to be president. I'm sitting there watching these people like, yo, you just told me you was against electoral politics. And now you see this goofball come up here. Now you're all grinning, shucking, and jiving because he had a show. They broke up now. I don't know what's going on with the show no more. But they had a show on YouTube. And they all came up there. They were all grinning from chin to chin, teeth to teeth, whatever. Talking about they would serve Cornel West. As a Marxist, I can't mess with Cornel. If Cornel came here right now, I couldn't tell Cornel like, yeah, I'm gonna go work on your election. I'm against electoral politics. We are against electoral politics. We don't believe working in imperialist governments is going to bring about the change our communities need. So why would I be dealing with a Cornel West? But if you go back a couple of months and you go look, you see him and all his whole group up there grinning, talking to Cornel like this dude was the smartest Negro that black people ever produced.
I think what we'll see, I'm pretty sure, and already in many ways have seen, are the intent to narrow the politics and the frame and how we engage and interpret, build our analysis, and move forward.
It's not the same as anti-black racism, but both are ever present, and they're not going to go away.
It's dangerous because it's a really hard time to talk about either black people or Jewish people. It's just become fraught in so many ways. But anything that's dangerous, it's worthwhile.
So then let's get into real danger and talk about radical politics and radical traditions in these communities that are often ignored.
You can pass it on.
Having a nice little wine.
Look at them. You see their little dinners? These are the people right here.
Doing this. Look at a Passover Seder. So already.
Now I want them to show their plates again. I want them to show their plates.
It's just become fraught in so many ways. But anything that's dangerous, it's worthwhile.
So then let's get into real danger and talk about radical politics and radical traditions in these communities that are often ignored.
You can pass it on.
See, this rich, wealthy people sit around with their little liquor and their little fancy meats, their little wine that we probably can't. Look at that. Look at them. Like, I wouldn't even eat that stuff though. That's, to me, is not even a meal. What the heck? What? Yo, what is that right there? Is that a potato? Like, yo, what is this right here, man? What's that? I ain't looked at it before. What is this? A drum? A lettuce? An orange? An egg?
Wait, what? Who is eating that?
Man, I don't know, but this is what they're sitting down eating, and they're discussing our issues. This is what they're sitting down in this room eating. This rich people are sitting down, this rich, black, Jewish, white, whatever, all these people they got sitting there. They're not people from our communities. But they're sitting there and they're telling us our relationship, the Jewish people, not the relationship that we know outside, that we notice, that we deal with, no hot water, mice and all kind of stuff running around, doubling rents, exploiting the community. We not there. These are the people they have, and look at the food they eat. I don't even eat the stuff they're eating. What are they eating right now? This is not even a real, this meal makes no sense to me. What is this right here, patients? This thing right here. What is it? Anybody know what this is?
That looks like a sweet potato.
A sweet potato, an egg, an orange, a drum, and this is like ketchup. And salad. We don't even eat alike.
I'll start it, but everyone join in on the let my people go. Here we go.
Right.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my...
So they're doing this. Is this a Passover Seder? So already, the history is already jacked up, and whether you study the African history, historical perspective, or even honest or just critical biblical studies, nobody who studies this takes this history as real. So this is already starting with the mythology that Jews were enslaved in Egypt, which is, again, disproven all the way around from all sides. So, and it creates this false comparison that is used all the time to suggest that both Jews and black people have suffered enslavement, and then is particularly anti-African in suggesting that, one, Egypt wasn't African, or that if it was African, it engaged in the enslavement of the Israelites. None of which is true. That is, Egypt was indeed African and did not enslave the Israelites. That history is not real. And in fact, most biblical scholars today seem to be even going so far as to suggest that Moses, the figure that Sigmund Freud considered in his last book as essential to the psyche of the entire Jewish community, did in fact himself not exist. So I'm already troubled by this framing for the discussion, a Passover Seder.
People go.
But even to what he's talking about, hey, yo, this woman right here with the dreads sitting at this table, just because she got the same skin as me, that don't mean her motives is to do anything or like produce anything that's going to have anything to do with any of us. These people sitting at this table and they're starting off with a lie already. I know if you grew up in church, I grew up in church too. Like, they teach us that in Egypt, the Jews was over there, the pharaohs used them to build the pyramids and all of this. Then how come Europeans ain't used them to build their plantation? How come they ain't used those same Jews to come over here and build a plantation? Why they needed to go get Africans, for Africans to come over to America, to come be the ones on the plantation, be the economy? Why they ain't just use Jews then? See, but when you read these religious books, they tell you in the Bible that Jews were in Africa and they were being used as slaves to build the pyramids. Pharaoh had to let them go. They concoct all the stories. Like, this is the foundation of the conversation that we're gonna have. That we have on how we change anything is this fake lies that give them credibility. That's the same thing. Like, if you sit down and talk to them about what's going on in Gaza, the first thing they're going to do is sit there and tell you God gave them that land thousands of years ago. This is where they want to start from. They want to start from Allah. And Dr. Ball is saying, like, I can't believe, like, this is where they're starting from. Because that's where she went. That's where that, I guess she's a Jewish lady, she went straight there. Let my people go. So the Africans is the one that had your people. The Africans had your people as slaves. Or you're going to say that it wasn't Africans in Egypt, that the Arabs was there, because the Arabs just came there. The Arabs just got there like last week. They just got to Africa last week. They just took over Africa. Africa has always been black. That's what the real historians, the real history books say. But when you come with people that came from Europe, because most of the Jews, like this, I'm not making this up, most of the Jews over there in Palestine, they came from Europe. They came from Russia, Poland. What do they call them? Ashkenazi Jews or something like that. That's where they came from. They were not in Africa. Those people couldn't do, if they couldn't pick cotton in America, you think they could be building pyramids in Africa? But these are all the things that they tell us when we're little. When we go into these churches, and they're using these churches to condition how we think. They're telling us that these people, like from Africa, they're from Israel. Israel was in Palestine. Even though if you go look, the Israel that they're talking about in the Bible wasn't in Palestine. But these are all the lies they tell us. And they use people like Skip Gates. They use people like Skip Gates. They use PBS to reach us. For us. So, because if I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and I don't know, because I'm a historian too. I have a degree in history too. If I'm sitting here watching, I don't have that degree. I don't know nothing that's going on. I'm believing what they're saying. I'm like, oh, word. The Jews are going through the same stuff that the black people went through. Yeah, look at all this relationship that they built up. Look at all we got to keep going. I want you to see the rest of it. I want you to see the rest of it before we get to...
Black people's homes were terrorized, vandalized. Black people were beaten.
2 men were lynched.
The police did not do anything about what was going on and allowed this systematic violence to continue.
Those who were involved would simply face no repercussion for their actions.
And it turned out, I mean, this is kind of the cherry on top. Mabel Holland, the woman who was raped, she admitted to a grand jury that it was not George Richardson who had done this. Springfield is a real turning point because it's picked up by the national papers. It makes people recognize that lynching, violence against black people, is not just something that is specific to the South, but that is actually a national problem.
Among the journalists.
What do they talk about now? What do these black managerial people talk about now when they go around? They talk about gun death. They talk about police shooting. Like, they pick up the same mantle and they use the same thing, racism. Just pay attention.
On the ground in Springfield were William English Walling and his wife, Anna Strunsky, a Russian Jewish immigrant.
An unlikely couple. William English Walling, a Kentucky-born aristocratic man who is a radical social reformer, married to a remarkable Russian Jewish immigrant woman named Anna Strunsky. And Strunsky was a bohemian, an intellectual, a radical, and they were aghast at.
So let me pause it here. All of you that's listening right now, I need you to put on your sociological imagination cap. Put on your social imagination cap. Imagination cap. Now remember, these white people that came from Russia and the other one from Kentucky, this rich people, they're saying, this is their reason. They're saying because they saw all these lynchings, they saw all this stuff going on, they decided to use their money, all their riches, to come do what they're doing. I want you to ask yourself, what were they really doing? Who were they really working for? Let's see at the end of it if you are correct. Use your sociological imagination cap. Remember, look at it from a class perspective. When you're viewing this, view it from a class perspective and listen to the words that they're saying and then put it together, and let's see at the end of the day if you were right.
The 1908 riot and massacre.
Having just returned from reporting on pogroms in Russia, what they saw in Springfield was a painful echo, America's homegrown version of racial terror. Within a year, Walling and a coalition of black and white progressives, including several prominent American Jews, called for a new organization dedicated to ending racial violence and securing true equality. They called it the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP.
And again, kind of like a theme with a lot that I've been covering lately.
Hey, remember I told y'all, all these organizations, all these black schools, all of this stuff are started by white people, started by white philanthropists, started by Jewish people, white people, hey, it is what it is. But all these organizations are started by the people that they're complaining about, the imperialists that they're all complaining about that is producing the social ills in the community. These are the people that started all these organizations, the Urban League, all these organizations that say they're fighting for the liberation of the people. All these organizations were started by wealthy, rich, white people, Jewish people, black people, whatever. Were started by a class that is here to exploit the rest of us. That's who started all these organizations. Now, that's not Africa saying it. You just heard Louis Gates and them say it. Oh, my God. What did I just do?
Social reformer, married to a remarkable Russian Jewish immigrant woman, Rinsky, and was a bohemian and intellect, and they were aghast at the 1908.
Having just returned from report, what they saw in Springfield was a vision of racial terror. Within progressives, including several prominent American Jews, ending racial violence and securing true equality.
And again, kind of like a theme with a lot that I've been covering lately in these movies and whatnot, and just in general, any other formation of radical unity is ignored. So it wasn't just the NAACP that formed and was looking to address itself to these problems and struggles. There were other formations, other efforts that could be included or could have been considered as well, but it just never is. So just one example that just off the top of my head, just because we've been talking about him and with the author a lot lately, Hubert Henry Harrison and Dr. Brian Quoba, his new book about him.
Yeah, right here. Brian Quoba, Herbert Harrison, Forbidden Genius of Black Radicalism. So you go back, you can go look it up. Hubert Harrison, in 1917, radical intellectual Hubert Harrison founded the Liberty League of Negro Americans in Harlem to fight against lynchings, segregation, and disenfranchisement, promoting a race-first agenda. So he was nationalistic, but they believed in protecting their own communities, like nobody else could do it. But listen, it sounds like he's nationalistic. As president, Harrison advocated for armed self-defense. Oh, internationalism, and political independence for African Americans, often countering white supremacist violence. And Ball is saying, when they talk about all the groups that's doing this stuff in the community, they don't talk about the radical ones. They always talk about the subversive ones. They always talk about these ones, the NAACP, the Urban League. So let him finish his thought.
But just a quick example, and I know it's a few years after the NAACP, but in response to these pogroms or anti-black massacres that had been occurring all throughout the 1900s and obviously before, here in the United States, we get the 1917 establishment of Hubert Henry Harrison's Liberty League, which is obviously coming at the end of, comes on the heels of years of work prior to that Harrison and others had been engaged in around these issues. Quoba writes, in parts of their vociferous denunciation.
Got to mute yourself, Rodrigo.
East St. Louis pogrom, as Quoba calls it in his book, as well, of 1917.
Unless you wanted to say something.
Hey, Rodrigo, you wanted to say something?
No, actually, I was just I pressed it by accident. But there's plenty to say about this.
You Gucci, comrade. You Gucci. I'm gonna get to you in a second.
And open advocacy of armed self-defense, these early meetings of the Liberty League went so well that black men and women across the United States and the West Indies donated money, pledged support to it, and became members of the organization.
You hear that? Members, the people in the community started funding it from all around. When the people see that whatever you're doing is useful, they'll start helping. They'll help fund
civil rights standards in politics.
There was a real meeting of minds, I think, between a certain kind of white liberal Christian and white Jews, like the Spingarn brothers, Arthur and Joel, and prominent black Americans like W.E.B. Du Bois and Ida Wells in the founding of the NAACP.
See that, Ida Wells? These are all the people when I was growing up that they told me that we're supposed to be like. We're supposed to model ourselves to be like. They promoted these people as supposed to be fighting for our cause, when the whole time these people were working for people that were trying to kill us all. They keep it a buck. This ain't me making up. I didn't put this documentary together. Gates put it together. Because Gates is saying that this white Jewish people were working with these people to better our communities, to better us. That's a lie. Nothing that these people did, anything that they did then, did anything to change the condition in any of our communities. They got rich. They ate good while we suffered, which is why Fred Hampton said, we're in a class struggle, God damn it. This is a class struggle.
Not only were Jewish people part of its founders, but Jewish people were central to the development of the NAACP in its first decade.
You'll see from these early beginnings that Jews are disproportionately involved in civil rights if you compare their population numbers with their proportion among white activists.
So while you're sitting in your home or you going to school like me when I was little and you thinking the civil rights movement, these people were fighting for people like us down here. The whole time, like the people in our communities wasn't part of no civil rights movement. Those people that you see at these organizations, they don't be from our communities. These are people that already have stake in the government. They're being paid to be there. They're being funded to organize those people, to bring them there, to fight for ideas that the people in the community never thought of, never wanted to fight for. But they act like this was the whole community was standing up saying, yo, this is what we want to do. Give us this. Give us that. When in reality, the people never trusted the government. The people never trusted the police. The people never trusted any of these people. That's why people don't vote. You go in communities, it's like 3%. 5% of the people in that whole community that vote, because the masses of the people are hip to the game already.
The organization really focused on the issue of lynching for about its first decade, and not only trying to...
So the NAACP started by these Jewish people. I mean, their main focus was on lynching. They wasn't focused on anything else, because lynching is like police shooting somebody in the back like 40 times because they got a candy bar. You can go outside. The police knee on somebody's neck. Everybody, the whole world see it. You could go outside and protest about that. But you're not putting no real schools in the community that's teaching the people about the conditions they're dealing with. You're not helping them gain no power. You're not helping. They're not getting land. They're not doing nothing. If anything, whatever you give to the community is to make sure that the status quo stays the same. Nothing changes. Power does not change from one class to the other. That is what everything that they're doing. That's what they're doing. It's subversion. But to us, we've always been taught that these movements, these people, like they were out there fighting for us. Like Du Bois was out there fighting for us. Even though you're reading the Philadelphia Negro, and he's saying that people that were running away from slaves coming up to Philly were immigrants. Like these people were not wanted. They did not want these people coming into there. The only people they wanted were professional people, the elite people. That's who Du Bois was speaking for. But we grew up and they tell us all these people are out there fighting for us. But they don't tell us who is funding them, who is paying their bills.
To spread awareness about lynchings, but also trying to hold Southern governments accountable. And by the 1920s, this looked like a pretty robust legal arm trying to provide justice and safety for black.
It looks like. But we're in 2026. How'd that work out?
People.
One of the NAACP's earliest board members, Arthur Spingarn, led an ad hoc legal team from his Manhattan law office. Spingarn and his mostly Jewish volunteers took major cases all the way to the Supreme Court, challenging housing segregation, grandfather clauses, and other assaults on civil rights.
If this was the 1920, the early 1900s, if this was then, they were going to the Supreme Court, they were going to all these courts to try to find answers to solutions to our issues. Yo, why are you still trying to do that in 2026? Why would anybody be saying this is the solution? It's over 100 years later, yo. Hey dummy, it's been over 100 years. That hasn't worked. It's either you're stupid or you're trying to con me. Talking about let's go to the Supreme Court. Even back then, in 1920, I would have told them, you can't trust these people. They've never held on to anything that they've ever said they were going to do. I would have said it back then. I can see myself being that guy. Man, I'm not trusting none of these people. Y'all better go get some guns and protect your community. But it's 2026. You still have black people coming out here telling you, you need to go to the Supreme Court. You need to go to the courts. You need to go vote.
But it was W.E.B. Du Bois, the only black person on the NAACP's board, who was the heart and soul of the organization.
Listen to that. The same, he just left. He just left from writing the Philadelphia Negro, the book we just was reading. He just finished writing that in 1896. This is like, what, 1910, 1920, 25. He's already got somebody else to pay him for another scheme. Like,
Du Bois winds up being its chief spokesperson. So as head of the Crisis magazine, which is the official publication of the NAACP, his writings and his influence loom large. He is the most celebrated black intellectual of his day, but he also has the ability to communicate to common people who consume the Crisis as well.
The most celebrated black person of that day. Like who? Who's the most celebrated black academic of today? Like what, say Cornel West? Like to say, what, Louis Gates? These people repeat generation after generation. These con artists, they repeat generation after generation as if they're doing something to better the whole community while they're living up there, working at Harvard, having tea. They have tea with the president. See, when they came to Louis Gates, he was trying to go in his home or something, and the police grabbed him, clunked him upside the head, and locked him up. And they said he ain't lived there. It was his home. So they come to find out it's his home. You know what they did? The president came down, and they went to his house, Obama, and they had tea with the police officer. Yo, you get clunked over here by the police in the hood, it's just another day in the hood. Niggas die every day, B. See, the president don't come. We don't have tea and crumpets. It don't work like that. We in it's a class struggle, goddammit. We're in a class struggle. And these people that we be listening to guide us, are put here to make sure we do not liberate ourselves. We don't free ourselves. They're put here to distract us, to make sure we keep chasing our own tail.
Well, it's also an organ that provides an opportunity in the conduit.
Look at him. Professor of History, University of St. Thomas. Uhuru Williams. He got the Uhuru name and everything. And look what the history that they're spinning. They're telling you about all these good, noble people. Wait till you find out about these good, noble white people that they talking about, Jewish people they're talking about. Wait till you find out.
For black scholarship, for black thinkers, for black artists, visions of black excellence.
Black excellence.
And this question of other forms of radicalism.
Uncle Tom is black excellence.
Also, in the crisis,
Check with what was
is
well.
significance of the Jewish experience in Europe. That they're also.
That's what Du Bois is writing about.
The first 6 schools proved so successful that the program soon expanded to dozens, then hundreds, then thousands across the South. By the time Brown v. Board of Education declared separate but equal unconstitutional, 1 in 3 black children in the South had been educated in a Rosenwald school.
Many of the graduates went on to do incredible things. Maya Angelou's a graduate of the Rosenwald School, as well as John Lewis.
Rosenwald's philanthropy didn't stop at schools. He donated
Again, scattered success breeds universal hope.
millions of dollars to the end of.
You know what he just said? Scattered success bring universal hope. So one person is rich, there's a Oprah, there's a Jordan, there's a Jay-Z. We all supposed to be all right. That means we all going to be all right. Because we got people black people working in universities. Scattered success. That ain't got nothing to do with the masses of the people.
ACP, historically black colleges and universities, and black health institutes. He also created a fellowship program for black writers, artists, scientists, and activists.
Many very prominent German Jewish individuals, like Julius Rosenwald, they supported African American causes because their status was somewhat assured in American society. And so it made it easier for them to access that part.
But they were also playing their role as that traditional buffer role between the ruling elite and those most oppressed, in assuring that those most oppressed do not challenge their oppression in any threatening way. So that has to be part of the framing of what is being done here. This was not some benevolent act among a progressive Jew or part of a progressive Jewish community. It is part of the neo-colonial suppression of the possibility of rebellion among the enslaved or formerly enslaved and colonized black population. So again, even if you want to say he meant well and was and had good intent, that is irrelevant to what process this work was serving.
And they're talking about the money. These people gave money to people like Booker T. Washington to start up all the school. What they call it, the Wellington School, whatever name that he used.
They didn't just give money because they were doing something out of their benevolence. You got to remember, in the early 1900s, right, like 1901, 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt, he set out with these policies that crushed monopolies. So they had all of this money, and they needed to do something with their money, and they was used to competing. You have like those horrible stories from Pittsburgh where they was like buying these bigger and bigger and bigger automobiles, and it wouldn't fit through this dam, so they kept widening the dam, and then the whole dam crushed, and the river like washed everybody ashore all the way from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati, right? Rich people have always competed with their wealth. Well, when Roosevelt started stopped the monopolies, what they did was they competed through philanthropy. Who could give away the most money and build the most non-for-profit and not-for-profit organizations. Dr. Jared Ball, he's such a contrarian, right? His mom is a white Jewish lady. If he was to have done this documentary, he would have no issues with it. His issue is that Henry Skip Gates did the documentary, right? I've seen this dude on his program sit there and be an apologist for people who came to America after World War II, his mother's people, right? White Jewish people who came here and redlined their communities and boxed our people out. And he sat there and said, oh, they just love money and it was just a financial gain. It had nothing to do with them being racist.
Ibrahim, that's not what he said. He said, we don't understand. He tried to say, Ibrahim, he'd be like, we don't understand what was going on back then. We need to pay attention to what was actually going on back then, because we just don't understand that they was exploiting the community. That's what he be saying. I've heard him make the argument trying to take up for them. But like you're right.
It's so problematic, but now he wants to get on Henry Skip Gates because he feels like, something about Dr. Jared Ball, nobody understands this man's thinking. He's like Brain, and we're all pinkies. Even on his own show with his guests and the cohorts and the people that he's cool with, they never understand the point that he's making. And he's always trying to correct them and redirect them. And he just thinks so complex, and we're all so small. But I understand why, many people don't like Skip Gates, right? We, like you explained it, Skip Gates, he brought that big, beautiful house in Cambridge, and he locked himself out, and he went through the window, and the white police showed up and put a gun to him, and Skip Gates goes into the house and gets documentation saying, hey, I'm the homeowner, and he still locks him up, and your first black president say, well, look, I know how to rectify this situation. I'm going to invite the police who put a gun to your head and you to the White House to come and drink some beers with me. And everything was just supposed to be oh so lovely. But so like Henry Skip Gates is he's an apologist and a pacifist. And we know what happened to Harvard President Claudine Gay, right? And how they had took that position away for her, and now she's back at Harvard teaching, right? You went from the president to the teacher. So we know the Zionists funded Henry Skip Gates to come and put this documentary together. Like, this man has no nuts. He's going to do whatever people tell him to do. They don't even have to pay him. All they got to do is point in the direction and he's going to walk in it. But my thing is that Dr. Jared Ball is such a contrarian because you do the same thing. You just mad because you at an HBCU in West Virginia and he's at Harvard and he gets to put this documentary on PBS. This is like this. When you say it's a class struggle, it's not just a class struggle between the proletarians, those on the bottom versus those at the top. You got people fighting in the middle for positioning too. That's what this critique is about.
Well, no. Hey, yo, and the funny part is, if they offered him to be the president of Harvard, he taking that job. You think he taking that job or not? If they call him, you think he gonna take that job?
Man, he taking that job in a heartbeat. All this, I mix what I like, all of this stuff that he be on. He gonna have that little biracial attorney that be on the show. He gonna have his whole cohorts there, right? All of those feminists he put on the show, all the one lady that be doing the bird hand all the time and cussing people out. They all gonna be there, but they're gonna dumb down the black radicalism talk and they're gonna transform it into something else. But hell yeah, I mean, he's already at a university. They already told you how HBCUs were started. Why not be at Harvard?
Word up. But they just ain't let him through the door, and like he mad because they ain't let him in. They haven't accepted him. If you listen to him, you hear that a lot. Like, he's mad that they haven't accepted him into that elite circle yet. Go ahead, General Secretary.
No, and that lady that was president and is now teaching is going to join him too, because like even though they telling you to your face that they want you in this box. And this is how you have to be. Like, you know how embarrassing it is in the higher education world to be a president of a college and now you're teaching at the college that gives you all of the presidency? Like, where's your self-worth? Where's your dignity? Where's your integrity? You have all these skills. Hold on, let me finish real quick. You have all these skills and talent. Go and build institutions for the people. But no, you rather go and stay in their institution knowing that they don't want you or need you, but they could use you.
So, but who'd
rather be at Harvard teaching than be in New York messing around with y'all. That would be the worst thing she could ever do.
Hey, yo, because think about it, Patience. Who they get their money to flex on? They're not flexing on the people at Harvard. Yo, she flexing on the people in her hometown. Wherever she from, she don't care that she's not president no more. She could still be a professor at Harvard making all that money and still flexing on people at home like I work at Harvard. It's still social credibility to these people. They don't care. They don't have no self-respect. If they did, they wouldn't be working in them places.
I want to say he meant well and was and had good intent. That is irrelevant to what process this work was serving. And I don't see them considering it even by referencing the General Education Board or industrial education. And by the way, if you're going to make comparisons to other oppressed communities, going back to where they started by acknowledging the settler colonial genocide of the indigenous, then what they should be doing is making this showing this as comparative to what was done to the indigenous with residential schools. To kill the Indian and save the man. In this case, to kill the African and save the man.
Boom. And that's what these institutions are for. I mean, to kill the revolutionary. Remember, this is right after slavery. This after slavery. You want to kill all that radical stuff. You want to kill that Black Panther language. You want to kill that communist, that Maoist language. You want to kill all of that and build all these schools and use these black fake intellectuals to get black people to start thinking like this is where they should be heading. This is what they should be doing. And then only fund these schools and these institutions and isolate the other ones. It's simple basic American history or imperialist history. It's basic.
Brian Colbert's book on Hubert Henry Harrison. Well, when Harrison founded the Liberty League in 1917, there already existed two prominent New York City-based racial advancement organizations.
Oh, I want y'all to hear this. Oh, I want y'all to hear this right here. Because look, when I say these organizations or Uncle Tom organizations, like you ain't listening to me. This is in 1917. This is from the brother Harrison that formed what was the league? Something league. That formed the other league that was more radical than the NAACP. Listen to what he say. Remember, this is 1917. Man, my mother and father ain't even been born yet. But listen to what he says, his critique of Du Bois and them and the NAACP.
Henry Harrison. Well, when Harrison founded the Liberty League in 1917, there already existed two prominent New York City-based racial advancement organizations, the National Urban League and the NAACP. The National Urban League, originally known as the National League on Urban Conditions Among Negroes, emerged in 1910 out of a merger of two white-funded organizations, the Committee for Improving Industrial Conditions Among Negroes in New York, which sought to expand employment opportunities for black people, and the NLPCW, for which Grace P. Campbell worked. The organization received funding from robber barons like John D. Rockefeller and wealthy advocates of industrial education for black people like...
That's where the money came from. Whatever they did with that money, those black people that got that money, whatever they did with that money was to serve Rockefeller and the people that was giving them this money, this philanthropic money, to do what they needed done in the society, which is not to liberate the people. Like, you're stupid if you believe that.
William H. Baldwin and Julius Rosenwald. And what is industrial education? Training black people how to be menial laborers and compliant citizens in an effort to do, as Donald Spivey wrote years ago, to have the schoolhouse replace the stability lost with the demise of the plantation after enslavement, after so-called slavery was over.
So after slavery was over, you have to create all these institutions that will be able to do the same thing that slavery was doing, being able to control them, to control these black people. That's what they funded.
But they didn't do it until they couldn't hoard wealth anymore, right? This is a 40-year gap, right? See, this is the disingenuous of somebody like Dr. Jared Ball, right? This is a 40-year gap. They didn't build these institutions during Reconstruction. They waited till Roosevelt said, hey, y'all can't accumulate mass wealth like this no more. So they say, what we going to do with our money? Remember, philanthropy is a way for you to socially wash away your sins in the eyes of the public.
Yes.
These people see, when we do, like, picket lines and marches now, and, like, you go home with not a speck of dirt on you. Back then, the people who owned those, like, big industrial plants, they would hire police and they would come and shoot these people down and kill them, right? So philanthropy means a lot back then than it does now. Now they kill you by giving you like bad food and you know, like
COVID.
Put a plant next to your community and everybody get cancer. Back then it was more direct, right? We're going to hire the police. If y'all don't go off strike, we're going to bring scabs in and take y'all jobs. And in order for y'all to get from off my private property, these police is going to shoot you in your face if y'all don't leave, right? So you do the philanthropy so people will forget about the 20 people you killed in that small town in the middle of Pennsylvania, 4 years ago, to where now it's just like the when they see Frank Lucas and he's handing out the turkeys, and now they do backpacks and bikes, right? But you selling drugs to the community. You taking $17,000 out this young man's home, and you gave him a bike and the turkey on things. Like, get out of here, man. It's like so trash.
No, but they still think we still fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Because most of the time, the people are conditioned to believe in all these things. They're conditioned to think somebody coming to bring book bags or brings like books to go to white supremacy schools. Like that's supposed to be helping the community. We've been conditioned to think charity is helping, is organizing, is revolutionary.
Forms of radicalism is
one of the things that W.E.B. Du Bois also writes about in The Crisis is the significance of the Jewish experience in Europe. That they're also...
Because remember, now they done gave him the money. This is the stuff that he's writing about in The Crisis. Because once they started the NAACP, like they got a paper to get the information out. Like I told you, we on here Wednesday, we on here Sunday, we on social media. We trying to get the propaganda out. But when he started working with the NAACP, after he left the Philadelphia Negro, and he came over here, he done find another white person to put money in his pocket. This is what they started writing about, the condition of the Jews and stuff, because they were funding him. And then he tried to mix that together with the black experience because they were funding them, and that's what they was asking him to do, just like they're doing it today with Henry Louis Gates, Skip Gates, whatever his name is.
Being marginalized or also being shut out of different industries, of different communities. He's telling black readers that this is a moment, this is an opportunity to come together with Jewish people in order to advocate for rights on U.S. soil.
In fact, on page 81, Quoba writes, Harrison went further and addressed...
Yo, you got to get the book. He's reading from page 81 of the dude Koba's book on Harrison, and he's telling you what Harrison wrote. This is back then, in 1917, whatever, 20, whatever, when he wrote it.
The class divide in black communities. During slavery, he wrote, quote, it was those whom Denmark Vesey of Charleston described as house niggers who got the masters cast off clothes.
You hear that? He's talking about Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey was a slave that won his freedom from a lottery, and then he spent 20 years because they refused to free his wife and kids. He spent like 20 years trying to organize to go have a rebellion to kill everybody in that town and free everybody. And back then, Denmark Vesey, where he talked about Uncle Toms and sellouts, like the Du Boises, the Booker T. Washingtons. To him, these were sellouts. You see, people like Skip Gates is not going to talk about people like Vesey and what they stood for, their philosophy, because it's counter to this garbage of trying to get people to co-sign people that are committing crimes around the world because they're paying you. But Denmark Vesey, because they caught him, one of these Uncle Toms ratted him out, and they caught him and they hung him. And in Vesey's work, the dude Harrison is going back to Vesey's work, and he's saying Vesey looked at these people as Uncle Toms.
Slavery, he wrote, quote, it was those whom Denmark Vesey of Charleston described as house niggers who got the masters cast off clothes, the better scraps of food and culture which fell from the...
Doesn't that sound like Malcolm? You see how far back Malcolm was reading, trying to pulling his stuff from? Don't that sound like Malcolm?
White man's table, who were looked upon as the talented tenth of the Negro race. The opportunities of self-improvement, insofar as they lay within the hand of the white race, were accorded exclusively to the class of people who were the left-handed progeny of the white masters, end quote. In the context of criticizing the NAACP, Harrison's contention that white elites selected black leaders who were closest in economic proximity and outlook to them comes across as a thinly veiled criticism of W.E.B. Du Bois, the left-handed editor of The Crisis.
Like, if you don't get it, yo, you should go back later after we pause the show and listen to this part again. Yo, it's funny as hell because bro was talking about him and he says, I should play it back, but we ain't got enough time. I'm gonna just keep going.
Experience was inspired in part by his friendship with Joel Spingard, an early chairman of the board and later the president of the NAACP.
Du Bois finds a kindred spirit in Joel Spingard. They become friends because they're both men of letters, academics and thinkers, and that friendship is one of the things that helps to sustain Du Bois in the work. But also...
to sustain Du Bois. That friendship is what sustained them. That money.
When you say they're men of letters, he means they're both tied to prestigious institutions. It's funny, we started off today talking about the church and mega churches and how we donate our money and they give us a pittance back or nothing back at all, right? And now you get to see where some of that foundation comes from, right? We've always had mutual aid societies where we did for ourselves. And this is just a beautiful show because it shows the distinction between when we own it and when we have a shared fate, how that money works, and when the money doesn't come from us, who's owned by it and how that money works, right? We've seen, like, there's institutions where it's beneficial and it goes to uplifting the community, and there's institutions where it goes to uplifting whoever runs that institution, right? And it's just like one big 360 degrees.
Now, you're 100% correct. You are 100% correct. And I want to hurry up and play this because I want him to get to the part of it. My favorite part of all of this. This is the in the movie, in the show, this will be the twist.
But to point out that Spingarn is not an American. In that sense, as a child of Jewish immigrants, he knows what it feels like to be an outsider.
From 1913 to 1915, Spingarn visited more than 20 American cities, at times with Du Bois at his side, spreading the gospel of what he called the new abolitionism.
You see it in the language of Joel Spingarn, this recognition that the purpose of this organization is to elevate black people. He says in 1914, I believe that you should be the generals and that we should be fighting alongside you. It was about true allyship.
I did not enter this movement because of any mere sentimental pity as a philanthropist. I did it because I realized that no human being in America was free until every black man was free.
Spingarn, I do have to note, I mean, as good as that sounds, I mean, he didn't come in as a worker among those already organizing and doing work, Spingarn. He comes in as a philanthropist. As a leader. As part of the leadership. Yeah. We're working with only one other black member of an organization that's supposed to be advancing the conditions of black people. So it's again, even if it's one to be seen as a good faith attempt, it is still a very condescending white liberal approach that should be, even from the perspective of well-meaning whites, held up for criticism and exploration as people today might want to reconsider what forms of allyship can be developed. But, you know.
And Du Bois disagreed, sometimes passionately, about strategy and tactics. But their friendship endured until Spingarn's death.
And those differences should be further explored. I don't know enough about them or anything about them off the top of my head. But what were those differences in tactics that Du Bois and Spingarn debated about? And then again, to my previous point, why is Spingarn even involved in discussions of appropriate tactics black people in which black people should engage to free themselves? That's sort of the point.
In 1939, when Du Bois published his seminal work, Dusk of Dawn, the following year, he dedicated it to Spingarn.
I do not think that any other white man has ever touched me emotionally so closely as Joe Spingarn. Hey,
yo, you see that Epstein shit they're talking, right? Never touched me as close as Spingarn. Hey, yo, when I was going through this, there's another guy that was there in the story. I'm not telling you to go watch this PBS crap, but like I couldn't find it for me to bring it. There's a part in there where somebody was accused. There was somebody else accused of being a pedophile or something, a Jewish dude, and they hung him. The people down south killed him. I mean, like it's like the irony, everything that's going on right now with Epstein and all of that. And then when I heard this clip right here that touched me, I'm like, what is this dude talking about?
Spingarn. I do not think that any other white man has ever touched me emotionally so closely as Joe Spingarn. I'm
like, look, bro. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, pause. Like, what are you talking about? But just imagine, these people not different. These Epstein, all these people now, they're not different. These are just another generation of the same people exploiting and using people to do, black people, to do what they want them to do. All people, any people, because it's not just black people that they're using. It's deep. And when he said that touch part, I'm like, whoa. I mean, but if you go look at this documentary, there's somebody else. There's another Jew that they caught and they hung him. And that's when all of them started saying, like, yo, we got to stick with black people to fight back against the lynchings and stuff.
One of those vivid, enthusiastic, but clear-thinking idealists, which from age to age, the Jewish race has given the world.
Alliances like that between Du Bois and Spingarn were more than symbolic. These partnerships led to real transformative change in the lives of countless black Americans. Among the most consequential was the collaboration between...
Wait a second.
Get into it.
Again, just
get into it.
In Quoba's book, Spingarn, we're reminded, I forgot about this part, and this may be why Du Bois made his World War I critical error. But Spingarn, who was, as Quoba reminds us, was also working for U.S. military intelligence.
The twist. The twist. All these people giving out all this money for them to build these schools, for them to build all this stuff, they work for the United States intelligence. It's not Africa making it up. This is the twist. When you start reading history and you start knowing your history and understanding why we did what we did and why we got the results we got. Yo, all these people work for intelligence. They were guiding them. They got Du Bois to support World War I. And Du Bois was the most famous black intellectual, most famous black person. Look, Booker T. Washington. And they got all these black people to go out there and do their bidding. Like now, you see Mark Lamont Hill. You see all these fake black, what they call themselves, journalists. What's her name? The one on CBS. What's her name? Ain't no talent in the world. She know Oprah. That's how she got the job over there. Gayle King. All these people, all these fake black intellectuals, journalists, they all work for people that are here trying to exploit us. Man, woman, gay and straight, whatever. They're all here. They're tools being used to exploit us. What did he just say? Who did he say? The people that was funding the NAACP, the Urban League, all of this stuff, building these schools. Who did they work for?
But Spingarn, who was, as Quoba reminds us, was also working for U.S. military intelligence. So I was even just thinking there, who else was, what did others have to say about Spingarn? Major Joel E. Spingarn took the reins as a key conference organizer. At the time, he served both as the chairman of the board of the NAACP and an agent of the U.S. military intelligence in the anti-radical branch focused on, quote, Negro subversion.
Anti what? Hey, yo, man, when I be reading, when I used to read a lot in prison, this is how I used to be in my cell when I came up on something. Like sometimes I'll be so mad because I can't check it nowhere else to see if it's really accurate when I read something. But that's the feeling. This is the feeling I used to get.
An agent of the U.S. military intelligence in the anti-radical branch focused on
anti-radical branch. What I told you earlier, there were different other organizations that was more radical, but they isolated them. They didn't fund them. They made sure those business went out of those organizations went out of business. They attacked the leadership. The NAACP is still here. They're still here in our community. They're in Newark, New Jersey right now. Now you don't have a white Jewish person that's leading them. They got a black woman leading them in Newark, Deborah Gregory. And what do? They come and tell us. So we tell them, our school's not educating our children. Our children reading at a 5%, 6%, doing math at 6% on proficiency, and reading at a 5% proficiency. Hey, we need to do something about our schools. You know when the NAACP come? They come and tell us, you know what? We need to have your children vote in the elections. Because if your children voted in the elections, everything will change. They will become smarter. The teachers will be better. The classroom sizes will be smaller. So we're going to have our own fake low, what they call it? General Secretary, what they call it? They fake little what? Because we went there and we couldn't ask no questions.
Forum. They have
forum.
Forum.
They fake forums where they say we having a forum with the candidates, but the community can't ask no questions. The only people that could ask questions is the NAACP people. Straight garbage. They don't need Jewish white people to be in charge of them no more. They're just out here just doing the work of imperialism on their own. Man, I got the text messages. Deborah Gregory is in that email. When they put an email saying they were going to attack our organization, they were going to attack me by name and call me all kinds of names if I kept challenging the mayor, if I kept challenging the politicians in the city for making people homeless. NAACP still here. The Urban League.
They still in charge. Remember Biden when he first got elected and he put them all on that Zoom call and started talking down to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that with Al Sharpton, all of them up there. All of them. Is it Carl Sharif? I think his name is Sharif. Is his father name Carl or whatever? One of the Sharif. He was the councilman for the Central Ward in Newark, like in 2010, 2009. But this guy left from being the council person to going to run to be the head of the Urban League. Yo, I came home from prison. I went inside the office. This is before I started to work in the community, everything. I went down to, because he was my councilman. I'm like, yo, man, I just came home from prison, man. I need a way to be able to survive out here. I need a job. I've been going all this place. I can't get a job. Yo, this dude went in his pocket and gave me $5. Yo, I drove there in a Beamer with my daughter, yo. I brought my daughter with me. This dude gave me $5. I don't know if she remember, but I gave the $5 to her. I told her to get some ice cream with it. Now, I left that office. But all of this was lessons, teaching me who these people were. But back then, when I was talking about this, he was a council person. I didn't know he was going to leave and go to the Urban League. I didn't even know the history of the Urban League. I hadn't even studied them people yet. But when you start to study, when you start to read, yo, it all starts to make sense to you. These people are not in our communities to do anything. Yo, him giving me $5 was like charity to him. Oh my, I'm giving him $5 for him to go get a meal.
Negro subversion.
Like, ew, brokey.
Oh my goodness. As they're about to talk about Booker T here, Quoba continues, Emmett Scott, the Special Assistant to the Secretary of War for Negro Affairs and former Personal Secretary of Booker T. Washington, presided over the conference. George Creel of the Committee on Public Information, the propagandist, addressed the conference on the first day. And this is all being discussed in the context of a conference that the Woodrow Wilson administration put together, managed by U.S. military intelligence, that organized a conference for black newspaper editors to compete with a gathering of the Liberty League in Harrison. To
compete with the other activist guy. The government and all that stuff funded their stuff to compete with them. You know, I be telling other people that say they want to get into organizing, that say they want to be on revolutionary, they want to work with us. We don't work with the government. We don't support nothing the government is doing. We try not to go to any of their programs, anything they're doing. Our duty is to build dual contending power. We have to have our own concerts. Remember earlier where they was telling about the stuff the churches was doing and stuff? We need to have our own concerts in the summertime. We need to do our own stuff that people come to, and we could organize the people through those efforts. Not go to their rallies, not go to their concerts, not go to their marches, because all those people are being paid to organize and bring those people there to support what they're doing. So if they need somebody voted for, if they're trying to vote for somebody, they're trying to put somebody in office, they're doing all this goofy stuff to get people to come vote for their candidate. They're not there to serve the community. And those of us that are talking about we want to do this work to serve the people, that's where we got to be at. We got to be having our own concerts, our own everything, so they can't isolate us from our communities. That's why we keep saying intercommunalism. Yo, don't leave your community and go to my community where nobody know you, or go to another community where nobody know you. Yo, start from your community, the people you went to school with, the people that know you. Yo, when I came home from prison, I started doing activism. I knew people knew me as being on the streets, being a savage. Like, I was wild. I was on the streets. I mean, I did whatever you could think about the streets, I was there. So I told myself, yo, it's going to take people maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years for them to be like, yeah, he's a changed person. I wasn't mad at people when they told me, why you spending your money on them crackhead babies? They're not going to be nothing. I understood them for who they were, where their mentor was at. And I said, if they see me doing this every morning, every night, every day, every month, every week, every year, they see me doing this, they're going to see, like, my actions outweigh whatever they used to think about me. And guess what? Those are the people that send us donations. When I need something, when we need to do anything. Yo, bro, I don't even want to throw names out there, man, but I got people that just send bread. Yo, we needed to do something last week. I call somebody. He send the money ASAP. I didn't have to go through whatever. But he's seen me. He's seen me for like 10 years, 15 years, using our own money to do everything we're doing. So they understand.
And steal the thunder from the Liberty Commons.
Chairman, if I may, real quick.
Hold on. I'm coming. What's up?
All power to the people. I just want to reiterate that I think it is really, really important that we understand how heavily we rely on the track record of our past. And that doesn't need to mean we have to have a spotless record, but you need to at least be able to speak towards how that past has impacted your actions since and your actions today and how you plan to move forward. Like our reputation is how we encourage other people to want to help us, and the impact of our story, like it all matters so heavily, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't give enough credence to.
Now, all power to the people. Now, for real, when you work with people, like, it's people that I grew up with, people in my own family. They see me grow up. They see how I move. That's how they see me. If you want to change that, your actions gotta speak for you. So like when somebody says something, I'm a human being. I get upset at first, but then I rationalize to myself. I think to myself like, yeah, they feel this way because they really don't know. They don't know you. They don't know the work you've been doing. They haven't seen what you've been doing. So I got to understand that and work with that, and we all do.
On the pro-war editorial policy. So so Spingarn, and remember Spingarn and likely influenced Du Bois to support U.S. involvement in the First World War, enlisting Du Bois as part of military intelligence to support the claim, the call, and here it's being discussed, much like my problem with the press, black press today, the black press and their editors being organized in service of white capital and conservative politics.
Mark Lamont Hill and all of them, every single one of them, any black journalist you could think about that work for all these corporations, that's who they are. That's what they do. They're here to work for the people that's oppressing us.
And then we get military intelligence folks like Spingarn, we get propagandists like George Creel, all influencing the black press to support black involvement in the war, despite all the hostilities and suffering of black people here in the United States and elsewhere around the world as a result of U.S. and its policies and those of its allies. So again, in the context of an honest assessment of real history and an inclusion of the marginalized and negated and ignored, omitted radical elements, we can see even more clearly how this series is shaping up to be
straight trash. The series is shaping up to be straight trash. Everything that you've learned on the background of these people with CIA agent, they're not going to talk about that in this. They're trying to show you that this Jewish people, this white people that converted to Judaism, that funded the counterintelligence in our communities to distract our people from who the real enemy is. They're showing you that work for the federal government, intelligence agencies. They're not going to tell you none of that. They're going to tell you these people work with black people to try to create a better world for black people. That's what Louis Gates is there to tell you. So what is Louis Gates to our people other than a traitor and a collaborator? What is he?
In Brian Kolber's book on Hubert Henry Harrison, quote, when Harrison founded the Liberty League in 1917, there already existed two prominent New York City-based racial advancement organizations, the National Urban League and the NAACP. The National Urban League, originally known as the National League on Urban Conditions Among Negroes, emerged in 1910 out of a merger of two white-funded organizations, the Committee for Improving Industrial Conditions Among Negroes in New York, which sought to expand employment opportunities for black people, and the NLPCW, for which Grace P. Campbell worked. The organization received funding from robber barons like John D. Rockefeller and wealthy advocates of industrial education for black people like William H. Baldwin and Julius Rosenwald. And what is industrial education? Training black people how to be menial laborers.
How to be servants. How to be the servant class. That's what that is.
Washington, born enslaved in Virginia, grew up watching white children go off to school while he labored. After the Civil War, he worked his way through college as a janitor. and would become the founding president of Tuskegee Institute. Rosenwald, the son of German Jewish immigrants, followed in the footsteps of his father, a peddler turned storekeeper in Springfield, Illinois. Julius went into the clothing trade and eventually became the president and part owner of Sears Roebuck and Company.
Rosenwald was told about Booker T. Washington in 1911. He read up from slavery and was really impressed. He invited Booker T. Washington up to Chicago. And then Booker T. Washington, as smart as he was like, hey, I think you should come down to Tuskegee and look at my operation as well. And apparently, it goes that Rosenwald took a number of his colleagues and friends from Chicago. They went down to Tuskegee and spent 3 days, in the middle of Alabama, on Tuskegee's campus, and there grew a kind of friendship and partnership. And from that, Rosenwald schools really emerged.
Those schools those schools they were talking about earlier, those schools they're talking about, the Rosenwald, whatever schools, and these schools were to get all these kids, all these black kids, these poor black kids, bring them into them schools and socialize them. Socialize them how not to rebel against imperialism, against what's going on, for them to be workers. And I think they said a third of the kids or whatever, black kids, all went to those schools. Maya Angelou, what's his name, John Lewis, the one that just died, all those different people.
There were fewer schools for black kids than for white kids. More pronounced in the rural South. Some black children therefore forego education altogether. But Washington believed in the fact an educated public was key to a certain kind of civic democracy. And that being able to provide
a particularly kind of educated public, a vocationally, industrially educated public, as it relates to black people. They're leaving out some key terms here.
Education also meant that you could fight some elements of discrimination. And Rosenwald understood that argument.
For Rosenwald, his idea, he was aware of ongoing Jewish persecution in Europe and also understanding what's happening to African Americans in the U.S. I think what's so powerful about the relationship is that they both use individual success as a way to think about broader issues.
But that's it. Message, as Mayor Baradaran pointed out in her work, quoting William F. Buckley, the disciple of Rockefeller, scattered success breeds universal hope.
Scattered success, that's what we see in our communities. This person here is rich, that person is okay, that person. So like everybody think like they got an opportunity for them to get a house in the suburbs with a fireplace. For them to be traveling in first class, traveling all around the world. They think they could do it because they see the scattered success. And they're saying these people manifested those scattered successes. So you would think that you could be one of those people. It still goes on now. We're still dealing with those issues now. Go ahead, Ball. Let them.
Scattered individual success of these two men, one black, one Jew, are being used by them to form a narrative around what can be done for the rest of the community. And in each case, it's false. And in each case, the comparison is falsely applied because what Jews can do in a society that even this series is outlining offers opportunities to that are not offered to black people. So the idea that these two communities can make comparisons as to what can be done by each community and with each group, with each element of each group in being done the same way is, again, part of the mythology and the fraudulence.
It's a myth. Because these people, they're telling you, these people work with the government. They work with the Central Intelligence. They own businesses. You don't think all that stuff was funded by the government, that they got aid from the government? The average black person wasn't getting aid from the Secret Service for them to be able to get a farm, to get a business, to have all this different stuff. It didn't work that way. So when you hear people saying, like, yo, black people can do it like the Jews did it, that should tell you they have absolutely no idea of what they're talking about. Because these were relationships forged before these people sometimes even landed on the shores of America. These were class relationships that was necessary to maintain class dynamic, to maintain power. That's why they opened up all those schools to educate those children how to be servants, how to serve the society and not try to overthrow it, to make sure they don't have no more Denmark Vessies, talking about killing everybody in South Carolina to free his family. They don't want to have people like that. So you create institutions like this to control that nigga. That's what they were doing. But when you listen, if you listen to Louis Gates and you watch this PBS special, you're not going to know none of this information, that these people work for the intelligence agencies, that they was here to keep us docile. You're not going to learn that. So what is Louis Gates to us other than a traitor? What are all these people? And I consume all this information all week. I listen to all these people, listen to all the shows to try to get the information to come here, to come speak to you. Yo, it's hard listening to these people because I know they're lying. I know they're liars. I'm disgusted by people like Louis Gates. To me, listening to Louis Gates is like listening to a pedophile. Like people watch Trump, watch all these people. You watch the dude, what's his name? What's his name, man? The one that gave his wife STD and he tried to spike her drink or food patients. Bill Gates. All these people like Bill Gates, all these people are supposed to be people that we look up to, we want to be like. All these people are garbage human beings. I don't want to hear none of these people speak. They disgust me. I'm talking about the Obamas, all these people. They disgust me. They make my stomach turn when I watch them. See, but people don't know them for what they are because you have people like Gates that put on this garbage and try to brainwash our people and keep us stupid and ignorant. This is what the black managerial class has been doing. That's why Fred Hampton said we're in a class struggle. You can't trust these people. You can't trust these managerial people.
At all. Not every Jew can do what Rosenwald did. Not every black person can do what Booker T. Washington did. And as communities, the black community cannot do, can never do in this currently constructed settler colonial capitalist white supremacist imperialist nation what Jews do. So exactly, they took.
And I'm gonna end it there. In the way our society is constructed, we can't do what they do. We can't. Come show me how to do that, General Secretary. But we can't do what everybody else is doing. So how do we survive in our communities? If we can't do what they're doing, how do we survive in our communities? It's really not that hard. You'll go ahead and go read Mao. What did Mao tell you to do? We told you we're Maoists, we're Leninists. Whatever they're telling you to do, that's what we're doing. That's how you change the conditions in the community. You go into the community and you work together with the community. Excuse me. There was another part where they talked about cooperatives. Oh, I didn't let that part finish out. And he was like, they're not cooperatives. Because like he's saying, the government came with a third of the money. The philanthropists came with a third of the money, and the people, the black people that was there, they came with a third of the money, whatever, and the rest of it was them working. And the guy said it was a cooperative, and then Dr. Ball was like, that's not a cooperative. A cooperative is everybody in that organization sharing in the fruits of the labor of whatever they gained. That's not what was going on in them schools. All the people in the community did not get to eat like Booker T. Washington or W.E.B. Du Bois. We didn't share in that. They came in there, they brought those schools, and we was there to go to those schools to be bamboozled and hoodwinked. I mean, so like we started all the way from the church, and you see how that class system, how it continues to move from generation to generation, it shifts, and the people continuously follow these people. We follow them. Like they're doing what's best for us because we've been told. We've been socialized and organized to think these people are doing what's best for us. All we're saying is we need to grab that mantle and we need to start doing this work ourselves. We don't need these people. I mean, we need, like, once we walk away from them, we'll understand it's not about racism. It's not about any of this goofy shit. It's not about patriarchy. It's not about homosexuality. It's not about the goddamn immigrants. It's not about none of that. It's about those that have and those of us that don't. And then once we learn how to fight together, they can defeat us. Yo, they could come with their police. How many police officers they got in any local town? What they got? Like, I'll give you 500 max. Yo, it's 350,000 people that live in North New Jersey. They could come with their punk-ass 500. We'll show up with 2,000. What are you going to do? But you got to have those people organized. Those people got to be organized, and that's the work. That's the hard part of organizing those people, meeting the needs of those people. And in my analysis, in my final analysis, yo, we cannot meet the needs of the people if we're not working together. I'm talking about the people. If the people are not working together, we sharing our resources, we cannot meet the needs of the people. Because you heard the talented 10th, when they kept saying the talented 10th, according to Du Bois, those talented 10th, like the 10% of rich people, rich black people that have all the money in the community, they're supposed to use their money to build institutions. You know, like Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, all these rich people, all our lifetimes. They were supposed to accumulate their money, come inside our communities, and build institutions to liberate the people. But they've refused to do it. They've all refused to do it. So that we have to think of another way. And the only other way I can think about is if we do it ourselves. It's really simple. This ain't no magical shit. I mean, if you think you got a better idea, yo, we sit down and we talk and we formulate a better idea. But right now, I don't see no other possible way to change our condition than us taking the mantle and doing this together. That's today's show, man. Anybody want to talk? Anybody got something to say? Talk to me, man. Yo, just put your mic on and just start talking. Just start talking. Who got something to say? If you don't talk, I'm gonna start picking people. Let's go, Rob. You got
Hold on, Chairman. CEO, please let us know, let the audience know what's the next show after us.
Okay, so where's CEO at?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm listening, brother. You got Sister Chandra from New York. She'll be coming in with her community show. So she didn't get a title yet, but next week I'll let you know the title of the show. 3:00.
All power to the people. Yo, and everybody that's here. Yo, this is Grown Folk Talking Network. Express yourself. Yo, the CEO just spoke just now. You want to get in contact with him? Get in contact with him. There's another show coming on after here. Yo, we all have to start working together to create spaces where we can have these conversations. So if you're interested, you in here with the media, yo, get in touch with the CEO. Y'all should be putting stuff in the chat, trying to talk to each other. But Jeremy, your video on, so I'm going to you first, baby. You got anything, any words you want to add?
Excuse me, no, my throat's dry. No, Chair, but I loved it. It was great. Yeah, it was a good informational session. I think a lot of people could learn a lot, about. Yeah, I think a lot of people need to get an education really quick about what's really happening in America. So no, I love this. I thank you for letting me join. And I'll talk to you after this about if you still want to come on podcast on Tuesday. We can do that if you want on YouTube.
Promote it, baby, promote it.
Absolutely. And then I'll talk to you about making clips and stuff for you like that about.
No. Talk about your show. What's your show about?
Oh, we cover all the stuff that's going on right now with Trump, with ICE. The fact that we're being run by disgusting pedophiles, that kind of stuff. We don't hold back. And we try and sometimes put a dark humor spin on it, but like these days it's been really hard being funny about this stuff. You know what I mean? Just because of everything that's happening. We're watching people get murdered in the streets, and the government is perfectly okay with it. You know what I mean? We have taxpayer-funded assassinations happening right now, and But no, our shows we do Sunday at 2:00, which I'm glad I canceled today for this, and we do Monday at 9:00, and we do Tuesday at 9:00 as well live. And anybody's welcome to join. Anybody that wants to have their voice be heard. We're not the biggest on YouTube, but we do our best.
All power to the people. All power.
Put your info in the chat, Jeremy. People are asking for your info.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please put your info in the chat too, please.
Hey, what's going on, Mutar? Then I want to hear from Karima, my lawyer. But go ahead, Mutar. What's up, Mutar?
Peace and blessings to everybody. I just wanted to appreciate you for a good show and outlining that we in a class war. Damn it. Peace and blessings, everybody.
All power to the people. What's up, lawyer? What's going on, lawyer?
You see, I'm in the bed. I'm just chilling. It's my relaxed day. I just want to say hi to everybody and walk good. That's all.
Yo, you crazy. You still in your 20s, yo. Yo, you cheating life, man. Yo, that's crazy, bro. Hey, yo, they put my heat on. I'm sweating bullets back here.
Yo, I done took my coat off.
Wait, last but not least, our number one fan, Basil. Where you at? Where you at, Basil?
Where Basil at? Basil left? Basil, you been...
I'm here. You know,
how you doing, Basil?
I'm doing wonderful. I just came back from a funeral, and one of the things that I learned from the funeral that we all have to apply, you know what? We got to go through it, guys. We got to go through it. You know, sometimes it gets tough, but we still got to go through it, and we're going to come out victorious if we all stick together, and, you know, that's it. So, you know, of course, you always give a good show, Chairman, and love the fact of Black family, you and Patience together, that Black family, I'm telling you, united we stand, I'm telling you. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. I stole, man. I stole Finding Patience. I ain't even gonna lie, man. I stole. It, I wanted to holler at somebody just quick. I almost forgot. Who did I want to talk to just now? Oh, Rodrigo. What's up? You said you had some words. Where you at, Rodrigo?
I'm right here. I was just the part about the relationship between blacks and Jews actually goes far back into the 1400s, and I think people should really look into that history. It was something that was a professor, I believe in New Jersey, by the name of Jeffries, have brought up, and he caught a lot of flack about the actual slave trade being financed and controlled by Jewish Europeans. And this was brought into the Caribbean during the whole genocide and slaughter of the indigenous people and the settlement of the Portuguese and the Spaniards, and then eventually the English as well into the Caribbean, and helped finance a system which was people that were that had left, escaped, or in some way were convicted and sent to the Caribbean during the Inquisition times. They settled there, and they continued this trade with Africa, with the continent, with the kings and queens. Right, of the time that had wars with their neighbors, or just made laws to, like, maybe vagrancy, as they did in England, to send people to the Americas in the first place as indentured servants. But in Africa, they probably thought they were doing the same thing, but no, they were condemning their own people to what seemed like perpetual slavery, multi-generational. But this was the Portuguese. Vasco da Gama, I believe his name was some a name that, you know, we learned about in American history early on. He circumnavigated the globe, or Africa or something like that. But what was happening at the same time? They weren't just going around and just putting little outposts. They were conquering. They were involved very deeply. And so this became a power source. And this was part of what American capitalism, or Western capitalism, or capitalism overall, was rooted in. So I find that interesting, because a lot of the names of the people today in the Caribbean reflect some of the people who are known as Sephardic Jewish folk from the Western Europe, as differentiated from the Eastern Ashkenazi. But a lot of names would be like Martinez, Gomez, Sanchez, a lot of names with EZ at the end, which means son of. And it was a Jewish tradition, just like in the, I guess, reflects in some other communities, like they would have that as part of it, or the O in Irish, or as signify of. And so forth.
All right, Conrad, we gotta go. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we gotta go.
Yo, don't we got like 5 minutes? You trying to take our 5 minutes back?
No, we gotta leave time for the other show to, like, get on and prepare and stuff.
Hey, next time I'm gonna stop quicker so we could talk more. But yo, all power to the people. I live for the people. I die for the people. Hey, yo, Megabyte, next week I got you. You was about to be next. So I'll talk to everybody next week.